No, but you still gotta have the flash card. The permission to be here filming.
Well, I'm not filming yet. I'm just checking light levels. I was going to be filming a court appearance for that gentleman here. I'm part of a documentary just covering his story.
Who?
Miguel Sanders here.
You still gotta have the card for flash.
For flash?
For flash, right. He gives permission to be filming in the Justice Center.
Okay.
Right.
Anywhere?
Hold on. Anywhere. Hold on.
Can I accompany him still? If I'm not filming?
Whoa.
I can break down my...
Yeah, you need to break down your equipment.
So, I'm getting some flack.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. I'm getting a little flack over saying I need a certain type of pass in order to accompany you. I'd like to just continue to look at either way. Can I go ahead and get this on you?
Yeah.
The only thing you'll do, I can
take a temperature in the lobby.
if you want to put this up on your shirt sometime, I don't want to do that for you. But just go down the way, but put it on like.
Nope, we don't have them anymore, sir. We did away with those. Thank you. How are you today? Very well, thank you. So you want to take your temperature over there?
Hello.
You want to take your temperature over there? It's not working now.
Listening to Black Lives Matter. Girls,
I'm the documentary crew shooting about it was on Euclid, Pleas, and so his story is part of it. So we're hoping to film some of the proceedings. I don't know if they're saying I need a specific pass. What time's your appearance?
10 o'clock.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't want to hold you up.
Right.
But I wanted to make sure that's on you, so if I can get in there, I can hear everything. So,
Okay.
All right, sorry. Yeah, you're all set. Sorry, I'm not familiar with the Euclid protocols.
Well,
Actually, I got sent in a pinch. The other guy was supposed to do it. Didn't warn me on anything other than.
I don't know how y'all do it, but the city, we got to get permission from Pleas to film, and he don't have it. And he said he made a documentary on somebody that's going to court today in county, and he want to film it, so.
Judge Mataya? Yeah, Cuyahoga County.
Right, 'cause we got it.
Okay, no, it sort of got, I learned about this a little late and I got thrown into filming, so I wasn't familiar with the protocols. I apologize for that. I'm with I'm an independent journalist with a documentary called State of Injustice. The plaintiff in the case today, Miguel Sanders, is someone we're covering for the next episode. I can give you a card. Okay.
22nd floor, 22A, line 4B. Sure.
Okay, I apologize. Am I allowed to attend without filming?
No one's allowed up there unless you were actually up there.
Okay, so no, there's no witness, no public, no press. Oh, without special exceptions. Okay, I wasn't sure the protocols of changing here or there, so I figured I'd give it a shot. Oh, I'm sorry if I'm standing too close here. I'm completely independent. I'm pretty, so this is totally me being green too, like not knowing court protocols. So wow, I appreciate that.
Hey, go ahead, just go back that way.
Yeah, to the green already.
Do you know what time it is right now?
All right, so when you go up there.
Sorry, what room?
17?
17?
17th floor, doesn't matter. And if anyone asks, you said you can go up Eileen.
All right.
And these elevators over here?
Yeah, you gotta go through those lines, and we got 2 point lines.
Yeah.
You gotta go through all those, it's really elevator.
See your point. Hope I get to go back there soon. All right, so Judge Mattia gave a special exception. That's pretty cool.
You're not.
Thank you.
Okay, you gotta check in or something.
I was told that Judge Mattia doesn't usually let media in. Do I need to show this, check in with you or anything? Oh, no, I'm independent. I'm separate.
Independent?
Oh.
You know how to do that, right? Oh.
I don't.
No.
Check in. Yeah, go for it.
I might have to check in. Oh, yeah, everybody's got to check in if you haven't. Yeah, you would think so. Good morning. Check in right here with your telephone.
Yes, we can do for you. Where's your check? We can do for you.
She's trying to check in for a hearing with us today with Judge
Where do you
McCall.
think you going?
Yes, sir.
She has to, you know how you just can't get where
You got your phone that you can take the camera.
You want my phone?
You got it. Take a picture of this here.
My phone is off.
What's your last name now?
Perkins.
What's your first name?
Shirley. Shirley.
And what's the phone number for you?
283-2752.
And you try to
Next time you have the case, you have two.
Who's with you?
James.
Last name same?
Am I interrupting you?
Oh, no.
Are you on camera?
It's the-
I'm with the judge. Who told me to come up.
Oh,
Your name
yes.
again?
Brian Douglas.
Brian, nice to meet you. I'm Karen, the judge's staff attorney. Sir, I don't know why they put me downstairs. I don't know.
Oh, well, I didn't know the exact protocol. I got
Okay.
promoted the last
Sure,
minute.
okay.
And so I'm pinch hitting on the shooting. And
That's fine.
you're
I
in
just
downtown
I
courthouse.
just wanted to find out why they weren't letting up. Sorry.
Well, they said that they don't let anyone up without a flash media, something flash. Has to
Oh, I didn't realize
anyone
that.
being- Oh, okay. I mean, yeah.
Well, we don't. You're the judge elect.
Okay.
I just wondered if it was a COVID thing. So, Mr. Hardiman?
Yes, we approved it.
Is Mr. Hardiman here?
Yeah, that's him right there.
Right here? Hi, I'm Judge Matthias staff attorney. My name's Kara Kozak.
So are they going to let you?
Yeah, actually, this is all very interesting.
Yes, that's fine. And everybody else.
Because downstairs, the security, the first guy just waved me through with my,
Everybody has to go in.
he just saw I have a press pass. And
That's
then
where.
someone came up to me when they saw me setting up and said, you need a flash card, like some approval from something called Flash. And, yeah. But the judge allowed it.
Everybody else, he's with them, come with me.
The camera? Hang on out here, hang on out here. Hang out here for a minute. Deputy Attorney. Where's your
Oh, let me get out of your way. I'm sorry.
Did you sign in already? Sign in.
And then when they need you to testify, they'll come get you. This way we don't have everybody in the lobby and I'm not,
My phone will do this. No, it never does. I've never seen it do it. Yeah, I think does hers go clean? How do you get it to open the lid?
So at the top of your phone, when you scan it, a box will pop up that says web form, so you tap on that to open it up. Don't take a picture of it. Right. Okay, so yours is at the top of your screen. See, there's that one. Okay.
Needless to say.
That's right, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes it tries to connect to the Wi-Fi. No, you hold on to that. That's just so you know where you're going.
Oh, man. Okay, I'm good. but I appreciate you handling that. You got it together. Appreciate that, you know. Appreciate you handling that.
We just need a warm person and a yelling out.
That's right. I need you. I need you to walk over and handle that, you know. I had a motive out there, but, you know, I was like, hey, I had hey, you can't say it to everybody. Can I do for you?
Steve. Steve, you're gonna come in here when, I don't know if you have any stuff to grab.
Yeah, okay.
Now, these reporting us.
Okay, as soon as you just give me the okay, because normally you have to fill out a form ahead of time to be pre-approved by the court, which is not filled out, so I can't just let them walk in. Yeah. Well, they both have to have that filled out, so unless the judge okays it, then they go in.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, that's all we're waiting on.
Okay.
Yeah, normally what you do, like the plain dealer and that, they'll contact them ahead of time, they fax them the form, they fill it out, and then they submit it. If the judge approves it, and then I have no problem with letting you in.
So I was told that, the woman downstairs spoke with the judge.
They said to let you off. He has not said to let you in the courtroom. I have not been told to let you in the courtroom.
Do you know who, is an Eileen?
That's the fill-in bailiff right now.
Okay, can I speak with her?
She's in the back.
Oh, okay.
It's not gonna matter what she says, it's what the judge says. Because you have to have a pre-approval process.
Yeah.
That's what I was explaining to you.
Okay,
So she'll tell us what the judge has said.
Oh, okay.
Judge said you can come in and sit in the jury box.
That's what I was told. Thank you.
All right, and the reporter comes too? Because you know there's a reporter too.
Did not know that. No one told me that.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
He's in the red.
You're a reporter? Yeah. Okay. What's your name?
That's why I'm saying, because normally you have to fill out a form, submit it to the judge, he approves it, and then we know you're coming. To let you in.
Let me talk to the
Would you
judge.
just
There's
show up
correct
without
separation
it?
and everything?
Oh, no, I'm just saying I already kind of went through that, and unless the person downstairs didn't actually speak to the judge. I don't know why a judge would let me up and not in.
Well,
I guess
the
if
judge
it's
will let
just
you
a-
up on the floor until they figure out what's going on.
It's COVID stuff, that's why.
Yeah. So that's why I was waiting for someone to tell me. I was just walking.
Yeah, no, and that's why I said, it's the, what are you here for, sir?
Pla-Mor hearing?
Oh,
Courtroom A.
Courtroom, eh?
Yep, with all the other witnesses. That's why I was saying we have to have the approval with everything.
Okay.
Want them in there too, I guess.
Yeah, if they're all for Pla-Mor, they need to go in A, because I gotta keep everything separate. And they can sit anywhere but the judge's bench and the bailiff box and the jury box. Anywhere else they can find a seat. If they need to, they can sit on the chairs on the floor in front of the jury box. Well, is she testifying?
Yeah.
Then she can go in there with everybody else.
But I'm waiting for someone.
Okay, yeah, once they get here, just go in there, because I'm trying to keep the lobby clear because I have other court hearings.
Sure.
And if they see too many people up here for COVID, then they can shut
You can
everything.
go in the jury box now.
all right.
Vince, you can go in the jury box, just stay 6 feet away from him. It's like dividers and stuff, I think.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm just waiting for you
Oh, wait,
to
wait,
be
wait,
polite.
wait.
There's the door back.
Oh, I'm sorry. Apologies.
No problem. Okay. Got, Mr. Hardeman, do you have a comment?
Yes,
He's
it's stepped out.
getting the person that's allowed to sit with you back here, so he's getting, he said he'd be right in.
Okay.
What is he doing?
Apparently he wanted someone to sit in the courtroom, to talk to them. I will tell him to get his behind the right of way.
He doesn't have to be in here, but it's his right.
I understand. Let me tell him to move on.
And, Mr. Lucas,
Yes, sir.
you're not going to be presenting witnesses?
At this point, we don't believe we're going to have anyone testify on the property owner.
Okay, you represent the building owner.
Right.
Okay. Okay, and how many witnesses does Euclid have?
Your Honor, thank you. Kelly Sweeney for the City of Euclid. It's my
Hang on a
understanding.
second, we're not on the record.
Okay, thank you. It's my understanding we're limited to an hour, so maybe two witnesses for sure. I'd like to get all four, but I don't know that I can go that quick, so probably just two.
Okay. Okay, let's go on the record. We're here on state civil case number 940575. The City of Euclid. Relators in this case have filed a motion for temporary restraining order. They filed an ex parte, but I believe they agreed to go forward with a full hearing, which has been set for today. Kelly Sweeney is here representing the relator, Laura Robidoux is also here.
Yes, Your
And Mr. Hardeman is here representing
Miguel Sanders and Pla-Mor.
okay. The operators of what is the roller rink in question, correct?
That is correct.
And then the buildings is owned by, where the landlord is Boden, B-O space D-E-N LLC. Do you have all the captioning?
Yes.
And they're here with their attorney, Michael Lucas.
That's correct, Your Honor.
And your corporate representative is whom?
Dennis M. Morgan.
Okay. Dennis Morgan.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Doug Morgan. Jeez. Dennis Morgan was his father. Douglas M. Morgan, Your Honor. I apologize.
No problem. Okay, so I've given the parties each side an hour to present their case. My understanding that the landlord, Boden, will not be calling witnesses. And if you want to give a brief opening statement before we call a witness, you may do so at this time.
Thank you, Your Honor. The City of Euclid has a property in its downtown business district, the Pla-Mor roller rink, that is a nuisance to the community. It has been declared a nuisance on the local level by Euclid City Council due to riots, fights, criminal damaging, disorderly conduct, and shots fired. Euclid City Council has levied assessments against the Pla-Mor and Boden in fines now exceeding $10,000 due to this nuisance activity. It's not your typical nuisance establishment, it's not a hotel, it's not a bar, but it's still a nuisance nonetheless. Ohio Revised Code, section 3767, defines a nuisance as that which is declared by statutes to be a nuisance. Also under this definitional section, a nuisance includes a place where the operation of the place substantially interferes with the public decency, sobriety, peace, and good order. The current operation of the Pla-Mor does substantially interfere with public decency, sobriety, peace, and good order of the City of Euclid, and that nuisance needs to be abated immediately for the life and safety of its residents, visitors, and businesses in the city. You're going to hear testimony about the nuisance activities that have gone on at Pla-Mor for some time, over 2 years now. However, for the purposes of this hearing, the City of Euclid is going to only present evidence about nuisance activities that date back from January to last Friday. We're going to keep it tight here and just talk about those pertaining to our motion. You're going to hear testimony possibly from 4 city officials. We have Mayor Gale, we have Chief of Police Scott Meyer, we have Patrol Captain Jeff Cartwright, and we have Councilwoman for the ward, Christine McIntosh. They're all going to tell you about the efforts they have made to work with Mr. Sanders, the owner of the roller rink, to try to have him be a successful business. The last thing that the city wants to do is shut down this business. They want him to be successful because that's only good for the city. However, they are also going to testify that there are no other solutions here anymore. They entered into a memorandum of understanding with Mr. Sanders. He has not abided by those terms, and as of the last 3 months, the nuisance activities have escalated. There are riots, there are fights, and unfortunately, after the filing of my motion for TRO, we had a drug-induced rape that occurred at the Pla-Mor last Friday. The city filed this nuisance action, refiled it in November of 2020 due to this continued nuisance activity. I don't know if I'll talk, well, the mayor and the councilperson, if she's able to testify later, will tell you they are hearing from the residents and business owners in the community. You will hear that residents are nervous to come down to the downtown business district. Some businesses have changed their operations and their hours of operation. Some are considering not renewing their leases and leaving the city. Some are not expanding their business due to the activities that are going on at Pla-Mor nearby their businesses. You are going to hear from Captain Cutright, hopefully. He oftentimes works at the Pla-Mor on his own free time. He feels it's that important to the city and to his fellow officers. He wants to be involved in this business. You are going to hear that he has witnessed fights, he has witnessed riots, he has witnessed Miguel just leaving as these things are, Mr. Sanders leaving as these things are going on, and Mr. Sanders feels it's somebody else's problem once these kids leave this business.
When was the memorandum of understanding entered into?
November 17th of 2019. All of our witnesses are going to tell you they are dealing with an uncooperative business owner. He promises changes to his business model over and over, but never delivers on these promises. You're going to hear about his lack of accountability or responsibilities to the patrons of the Pla-Mor and his neighboring businesses. You are also going to hear how the owner of the building, Boden LLC, and Mr. Morgan are basically absentee. No one has heard from him, and he is not making any efforts to try to abate the nuisance at his property. For a preliminary injunction brought pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Chapter 3767, the city bears the burden of proving its case by clear and convincing evidence of the existence of a nuisance. Clear and convincing evidence of the existence of a nuisance suffices to prove the property owners are guilty of maintaining that nuisance. The city will prove its case by clear and convincing evidence and ask that you close and padlock this business temporarily until the matter is decided on the merits. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sweeney. Okay, Mr. Hardeman.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm a little surprised that we're even here. Mr. Miguel Sanders, the operator of the Pla-Mor roller rink, has been in business since 2018 when he acquired the business from Mr. Warren Hatchett, who is seated in the back of the courtroom. We acknowledge that there have been problems. We contend, however, that Mr. Sanders has made a concerted effort to address those problems. He has brought in additional security, he has put in lighting, he has put in security cameras, he's reached out to the city, he's tried to get the city to cooperate with him. Even though there were problems at the Pla-Mor prior to the time that Mr. Sanders acquired the business, the city never thought of moving for a TRO or any kind of preliminary injunction. It's only after Mr. Sanders acquired it and made a concerted effort to clean it up that they have made this decision that his business should be padlocked. There are problems, criminal problems, all over the city, all over Cuyahoga County, as well as the city of Euclid. But Mr. Sanders is being singled out. He is trying to operate a business. He even eliminated teenagers from coming into the establishment in the absence of a responsible adult. So now he is operating what is tantamount to a family business. And he is doing all he can to maintain this business. Nevertheless, the city of Euclid is not inclined to even discuss resolution. They want to padlock the business. Now, there have been other problems in Euclid over the years. You will hear about some of those problems. Some of them may be relevant, some of them are just background information. But for purposes of this hearing, Mr. Sanders has done all he could to abate the problem, And instead of the city of Euclid addressing the problem, they've decided that their best course of action is to padlock the business, which I do not believe they will be able to establish by clear and convincing evidence. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hardeman. Okay. Off the records. Has everybody had one shot in the courtroom, at least?
I've had 2.
Anybody not had a shot?
Oh.
I haven't.
No? Okay. You guys, shot. Sandy, what did you say?
Nope, not yet.
You haven't been microchipped yet?
I'm scheduled.
Okay, get on it. Okay. Okay, so back on the record, was the memorandum of understanding attached to any of your files?
Your Honor, it was attached to my complaint that we filed in November of 2020, and it is in your exhibit book that I filed and provided. It is Exhibit D. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, you may call your first witness, and let's see. Well, I guess we can put him in the plexiglass detainment cell there.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. The city calls Mayor Kirsten Holzheimer Gale.
Okay, Mayor Gale, if you just come forward here, stop there. Stop there. Raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, if you could sit over here in the witness box. Okay, and just a formality, could you state and spell your full name?
Yes, it's Kirsten, Kirsten, Holzheimer, Holzheimer, Gale, Gail.
Okay, and can you raise the microphone up just about 2 inches? There you go. Ms. Swinney, your witness.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. Mayor Gale, how long have you been the mayor of Euclid?
6 years.
Prior, and that's an elected position?
Yes, it is.
Prior to being elected mayor, what positions have you held?
I was city council president for 8 years and a ward councilwoman for 10 years.
In your position as mayor, you are also the safety director, is that correct?
That's correct.
What does that mean to you? What does that entail?
That means I am the executive who oversees the police and fire departments. I am responsible for the safety and well-being of the community, responsible to make sure our ordinances and laws are upheld.
Can you explain to the court what the City of Euclid's nuisance abatement code is about?
Yes, we have legislation that was passed to give Euclid a tool to address chronic nuisances that were affecting the quality of life in neighborhoods or businesses. So properties are, after 2 nuisance activities, are given notice that they have been declared a nuisance locally and given a warning that they will be charged for any future activities that are deemed nuisance after that. So they, after the second one, get a warning, and then after the third one, we do charge them because this is a drain on resources and we want to provide some incentive for people to correct their behavior.
Can you turn in your exhibit book, please, to Exhibit B? And I'm not sure if the document is before the tab or after the tab.
Okay. This
It
is
should be after the tab.
after the tab.
Yeah, I think so.
That's the nuisance abatement code
Correct.
chapter.
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, it's in the right spot. Can you identify what this document is, please?
This is chapter 529 of our city code. It is our chapter on nuisance abatement.
When was this passed by Euclid City Council?
In May of 2006.
Were you on Euclid City Council at that time?
I was.
Can you explain to the court what types of activities are considered nuisances?
Yes, there's a criminal activity that includes Alcohol violations, animal violations, drug violations, gambling, offenses to persons, offenses relating to property, peace disturbances, safety violations, violations of sex offense, any weapons or explosive violation, and any activity indicated to be a public nuisance elsewhere in our code.
Has the Pla-Mor roller rink been declared a nuisance at the local level?
Yes, it has.
For what types of activities has Pla-Mor been declared a nuisance?
There has been assaults, there has been riots, disorderly conduct, there has been weapons offenses, there has been damage to properties around the property, businesses that are nearby, general disorderly conduct. Fights.
Do you know when Pla-Mor was declared a nuisance?
Locally, I believe it was first declared a nuisance, was it November?
Would a document help you refresh your memory?
Yes, probably.
Okay. If you could turn to Exhibit A in your book.
Yes.
Can you identify what this document is?
This is a letter dated March 24th, 2021 to Mr. Morgan and Mr. Sanders regarding nuisance property at 22466 Shore Center Drive. And this is what the latest assessment for nuisance. So it goes back, the nuisance code goes up in cost of what the first incident is $250, the second incident after the third incident is $250, the fourth incident is $500, fifth incident is $750, and then it's $1,000 for every activity that's declared a nuisance after that.
So attached to the letter, there is a document. Can you identify what that is?
This is a bill to Miggs Pla-Mor and Bowden LLC for the nuisance assessment.
To date, are you aware if any of these fines have been paid to the city?
I am not aware that they have not been paid that I'm aware of.
Okay. Some of the items on the invoice have lines stricken through them. Are you able to explain to the court what those mean?
Yes, so City Council, so there are a number of, these are each of the incidents that were declared nuisance originally was declared on June 14th of 2019. The next incident after that was January of 2020, and it goes down. There are 5 that are stricken out, and those have already been assessed to the property tax. So City Council authorizes every year unpaid assessments are billed to the property tax. So those first 5 had not been paid and have been sent to the county to be listed as a tax assessment.
You did bring up, and then there's new ones that are not stricken out, or there's items that are not stricken out. Can you explain those?
Yes, there are 7 additional violations of our nuisance code that range from August of 2020 through March of 2021. Each of those are $1,000. And those have been billed but have not been paid.
And am I stating accurately that there are 12 items on this invoice, 12 nuisance assessments on this invoice?
That's correct.
Okay. You mentioned about assessments going to the county. Can I ask you to turn to Exhibit C in your book, please?
Yes.
Is this to, what you were referring to about the assessments to the county?
Yes, this
Okay.
is...
Can you explain what this document is?
So this is Ordinance 86-2020. This City Council the City Council passed this ordinance to levy the fines on the properties for nuisance abatement, and one address of the 4 is 22466 Shore Center Drive in the amount of $3,500.
So you said one address of the 4. There are other addresses that have been assessed for nuisance. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. You are familiar with the business of Pla-Mor, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and where's that business located?
It's in our downtown area at 22466 Shore Center Drive.
Have you ever had dealings or spoken with any representative of Boden LLC?
I have not.
They have never contacted you?
They have not.
Okay. Who's the owner of the business, not the building, the business known as Pla-Mor?
Mr. Sanders.
Okay. And have you had involvement with or dealings with Mr. Sanders?
Yes, I have.
Okay. For what reasons have you had the occasion to deal or interact with Mr. Sanders?
We tried very hard to work with Mr. Sanders to help him.
Objection, that's not responsive, Your Honor. Overruled.
You may answer.
I had the occasion to meet with Mr. Sanders on several occasions in order to discuss his business, to provide some suggestions for what he might do to avoid the nuisance, to prevent those type of activities from occurring at his business.
Can you estimate how many meetings you had with Mr. Sanders?
I would say, in-person meetings, probably between 4 and 6, and we've had several phone calls as well.
Where were these meetings held?
In my office, and I did have the occasion to go and visit and skate myself and talk with Mr. Sanders at the roller rink.
So what was the nature of the meeting at the roller rink?
When we first were going to file the nuisance, we had a number of people from the skating community come forward and invited us in. I came to see what was going on, how the events were, and have conversation with both the skaters and Mr. Sanders about his operation. That was back in probably 2019.
Did any other city administrators go with you?
Yes, a number of people from the police department, a number of members of city council.
The meetings that you had at City Hall that you referenced, who attended those meetings with you? Besides Mr. Sanders.
Right, law director was part of that, chief of police, and some of them, I believe, Councilwoman McIntosh, who's the Ward 5 councilwoman, which is the area is Ward 5, and I believe a couple of the meetings, probably Captain Cutright, who's in charge of patrol.
And what was the nature of those meetings?
They varied, but we really were trying to express our concern to Mr. Sanders, making sure he understood the concerns, the problems we were facing, the problems we were hearing from residents and businesses, and ultimately we wanted to work with him. So we ended up creating a memorandum of understanding so that we helped together work through items that we felt would help him be more successful. The business to be more successful, and not bring on new nuisance activities.
You mentioned about filing a nuisance action. Do you know what prompted that filing?
Criminal activities. I mean, the number of times the police were called to respond to fights, to criminal activity, to cars being broken into, to businesses being damaged. After there were so many, we decided that was our next step. We went through our local nuisance code that did not bring the desired result. We continued to have nuisance behavior, and criminal activity continues. So we felt like that next step was filing a nuisance complaint with the court.
And you mentioned also the memorandum of understanding. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, so we agreed to dismiss that first nuisance filing if Mr. Sanders and his business would agree to follow these a number of steps that we developed together, and it really came down to some things that we thought would be successful. We wanted him to be able to have successful events and operate a business successfully, but unfortunately he did not carry through on the promises that were made.
Can you turn in the exhibit book to Exhibit D, please?
Yes.
Can you identify that document?
This is the memorandum of understanding.
You were part of the negotiations of this?
Yes.
And who else was part of the negotiations?
The police chief, Scott Meyer, the law director, Kelly Sweeney, Mr. Sanders, and I believe Councilwoman McIntosh was as well.
So in the body of this, there's some terms and conditions. I'd like to go through those, please. Oh, and the second page has some signatures. Can you tell me who those signatures are?
Yes, so the memorandum of understanding was signed on November 19th of 2019 by myself, the mayor, Chief of Police Scott Meyer, and Mr. Sanders, the owner of Pla-Mor, and it was approved to form by our law director, Kelly Sweeney.
So there's 11 terms and conditions in this MOU. If we can go through those quickly. Did can you go through number one? Can you go
Yes.
through them one by one? And for each of those, I will ask a follow-up question. Did Mr. Sanders comply with the terms outlined here?
Number one is Mr. Sanders shall apply for a special event permit no later than 14 days before the date of his intended special event.
Do you know if Mr. Sanders complied with item 1 of the MOU?
That did not happen, no. Number two,
Can I
there
ask
shall...
first- Can I ask, what is a special event? Yeah.
So we did define as, I'm sorry, am I on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. We defined a special event as anything other than his regularly scheduled skate events. So there's adult skate scheduled for certain days, or there's a senior skate on a Tuesday from 9 to whatever. Any extra special events, so a youth, end of the year school skate or youth event, anything that is, there's a number of events that Mr. Sanders says aren't his events. He's letting somebody else use the rink. So we defined special event as anything that was happening other than the regularly scheduled skate events or skate sessions.
So the senior skate would be a special event?
No, that would be, if it's a regularly scheduled skating session. So there's regular hours of skating sessions that take place, and then there's events that happen on a Friday night or a Saturday night or a Sunday night.
Okay.
Okay, now back to item 2.
Number 2, there shall be no more than 2 special events per month that are directed to youth.
Do you know if Mr. Sanders abided by this item?
I know we've had problems with youth events 3 weeks in a row in March, so I would say no.
Okay, next item, please.
Number 3, the city will post the special event at the Euclid Police Department side job board as soon as possible after receiving notice of the special event. Sergeant Joel Barron will be the contract person coordinator for this side job.
Do you know if Mr. Sanders contacted Sergeant Barron about these special events?
I am not aware that he has.
Objection, not responsive.
Next item, please.
4, should there not be enough Euclid Police Department officers who sign up to work the special event within 4 days before the special event, the Euclid Police Department will contact Mr. Sanders to advise of same. And then 5 goes on to say Mr. Sanders may then hire private security to work the special event. The names of the private security officers shall be provided to Euclid Police Department. Again, Sergeant Joel Barron, when his email is provided.
Okay, so 4 sounds like that's on the city, if they don't have enough police to work the side jobs. Do you know anything about side jobs? Are you able to testify about side jobs the police might have?
The police do have several side jobs throughout the community. It's, they're hired off duty to provide security, and a number of businesses and establishments do hire our police to work off duty.
Do you know if any of our officers do in fact work at the Pla-Mor?
They did early on, and then they are not interested in doing that anymore.
Do you know why?
I think they...
Objection.
Basis.
She's speculating. She just said, I think, as opposed to information she knows of her own.
Okay, sustained.
So Mayor, if you know. If you don't know, we'll move on to the next question. Do you know why they don't want to work at the Pla-Mor?
Objection, leaving.
Overall.
The police officers feel they're put in a bad position. There is the operation of the rink does not, support. It's kind of a no-win situation. They're called there and are faced with nobody else who's holding kids accountable or making sure that the rules are followed. So it's putting themselves in a dangerous position.
The next item about the MOU talks about hourly rate. We don't need to talk about that. The next item, number 7, can you talk about that, please?
The parties agree that the occupancy limit is 440 persons and no more than 440 persons shall be admitted at any one time into the premises.
Do you know if there's been an issue with capacity at the Pla-Mor?
I don't believe there has been an issue with capacity.
Number 8, please.
Number 8, Mixed Pla-Mor will maintain accurate head counts during special events and may hire Euclid Fire Department at a rate of $40 per hour for assistance when capacity crowds are expected.
Do you know if that's occurred or not?
I don't believe that's occurred. I'm not aware that that's occurred.
Objection. Speculative.
Overruled.
Number 9, please.
9 is for the special events marketed to youth. Each youth must be dropped off by a parent and or guardian and or responsible adult who shall sign in at Pla-Mor the names of each youth for whom they are responsible.
Do you know if that has been complied with by Mr. Sanders?
It has not.
How do you know that to be the case?
We have asked, he was, at those meetings, we asked for him to provide us with the sign-in sheets. That was never provided. And I know one of our captains just 2 weeks ago went in to see the sign-in sheet when this new rule was, once again put in place, and there were 5 parents.
Objection.
So I will say,
Overruled.
go ahead. At the beginning, I think there was an attempt to do that. It certainly wasn't all of the youth, and it did not continue.
Number 10.
Youth cannot be released from Pla-Mor without a parent and or guardian and or responsible adult present.
Do you know if that is happening?
It is not.
How do you know that to be true?
Hordes of, groups of kids are being let out the door. We have seen, the police have seen that.
Objection.
Residents have.
Objection. I'm sorry.
Basis.
She said the police have seen. The question was directed toward how she knows it, not how someone else knows it.
Mayor, do you have knowledge of the kids, do you have knowledge of the youth being released without a parent or guardian or responsible adult present?
That's been what's reported to me, yes.
Move it be stricken.
Sustained.
Number 11, last item.
There shall be at least one parent and or guardian and or responsible adult for every 4 youth.
Do you know if that's being complied with?
I'm not there to count numbers, so I can't, I guess, definitively say that. The indication from the police reports and my,
Objection.
Overruled. Let her answer.
the reports that I've seen do not indicate adults are present.
Thank you. Have you heard from Euclid residents about the play?
Yes, very regularly, a number of phone calls, emails, and people that we see out and about on the street, council meetings.
What are you hearing from these residents?
Residents are very concerned about the activity that's happening. They're concerned for the safety of the patrons. They're concerned for the safety of the surrounding businesses, of the patrons of the surrounding businesses, and really are fed up with the constant activities that are occurring at Pla-Mor.
What businesses are neighboring or in close proximity to the Pla-Mor?
Burlington Coat Factory is immediately next door and shares a parking lot. Dave's Supermarket Grocery Store is across the street. Health Foundation is a little further down to the east. And there's another retail strip across the street.
Have you heard from any of these business owners about Pla-Mor?
Yes.
What have you heard from those managers or owners?
I've spoken directly to the manager from Burlington Coat Factory. They have had to change their operating hours, closing earlier than normal. They have had occasions where their staff have had to kind of shelter in place, is what I would call, when kids have tried to storm into their building. They have experienced damage to their store and are seriously considering not renewing their lease because of the activities that are occurring there.
Have you heard from any other business owners?
Dave's Supermarket, similar concerns. Kids coming into the store after they've been, kicked out of or forced out of the roller rink. Activity and litter and cars being damaged in the parking lot. And employees from Dave saying, they don't want to work there during the time when the kids are coming into the store after the roller rink, that they don't feel safe being there.
You mentioned another business, Health Foundation. Have you heard from them?
Health Foundation is just a little bit further down the street, and they've had 3 incidents in the last month, this year, since January, of damage to their property, windows being broken, TVs being stolen, timing-wise at the same time that youth activities and events are happening at the Pla-Mor.
Have they also made business decisions based on the Pla-Mor?
So they are contemplating building a new greenhouse right in the downtown area next to that, and have serious reservations about, based on the damage that's happened to their property in the last year, of whether that's a wise decision.
Is this, do you want to see the Pla-Mor succeed?
Yes.
How does that help the city?
It's an asset. I mean, it's a community asset to have a functioning operational roller rink. There's not many there's not many roller rinks left. But, unfortunately, this roller rink is not the family-oriented roller skating rink that, that would be an asset. It has, because of poor management and not being able to follow through on rules and setting up the business in the proper way, there is criminal activity. It's an unsafe environment for the kids who are attending, for the businesses that are surrounding it, for our residents who are fearful to even go downtown during the time that an event is happening. It just is really not, at the moment, it is not.
You are supportive of this motion to shut the business down temporarily?
Yes.
Why do you want it closed?
I can't let something else happen. I cannot let a child be seriously hurt because they went to go roller skating. I cannot let an adult who goes there. I don't want that on my conscience, that we haven't done everything we can do to make sure the patrons of the business, the patrons of the residents of our community, the businesses are safe. That's my job, is to make sure our community is safe, has a high quality of life. And this, unfortunately, the activities that happen here are causing harm to our community and are putting people at risk. And I don't want something else to happen and we continue to let it happen.
Do you feel you have worked with Mr. Sanders enough that you're comfortable that this is the only solution that you could have?
At this time, yes.
Objection, she's leading the witness.
Your Honor, I will strike that question. Do you see any other solution or viable option for the city of Euclid?
Not at this time.
Nothing further for this witness, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sweeney. Ms. Cross?
Mayor, Your Honor, yes, sir. Ms. Gale, you say you see no other options. Is that correct?
At this time, yes.
Okay. Since the filing of the motion for a temporary restraining order, are you aware of the fact that Mr. Sanders has attempted to meet with you and or city administrators to address the issues? Are you aware of that?
I have not been asked.
I said, are you aware that he has attempted to reach out to city administrators? That's yes or no. If you're not aware,
no.
You're not aware. Okay. If he made that overture towards your law director, would that be something that would have been communicated to you?
Yes.
Okay, and it has not been communicated to you?
No.
Okay. Now tell me this, you've been involved in city government for how many years now?
Since 1997.
Okay, that was about 24 years? Or thereabouts?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know who Mr. Warren Hatchett is?
I met him earlier today.
Do you know who he is my question.
Yes,
Who is it?
the former owner of the Rink.
Okay. And did they have issues at the rink when Mr. Hatchett ran the rink?
I don't have that knowledge.
Okay. Mr. Hatchett is white, is he not?
Pardon me?
Mr. Hatchett is white, is he not?
I don't know.
Okay. When you met him, what did he look like to you?
Oh, today?
Yes.
African American?
You thought he was African American?
Yes.
Okay. What do you think Mr. Sanders is?
African American?
Okay. So your understanding is the prior owner was African American, and Mr. Sanders is African American. Is that right?
Yes.
Was any action ever undertaken against the prior owner of the, I think it was the Roller Dome?
I don't have that knowledge, no. I'm not aware of
If
that.
it occurred, you were not involved. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Who declared the Pla-Mor a nuisance? Who in the city government?
That's handled through our law department.
So who declared it a nuisance is my question.
The city of Euclid.
Who? A
Through our law-
person. The city doesn't act without a
Right.
person.
Yeah, our law director
Okay, your law director, that's the lady that has been
and our
questioned, correct?
assistant law director, Ms. Rabadou, handles the nuisance abatement.
So-
And we have a new assistant, Ashley Garrett, who does that as well.
So the law department declared it a nuisance, right?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
And much of the information that you have shared came from your law department, is that correct?
Yes.
You didn't personally go out and witness the incidents that you described, did you?
I have been to Pla-Mor.
How many times?
Re-
Let's say since January, how many times?
Since January of this year?
Yes.
And I have not been inside.
Okay. So since January of this year, you don't have personal knowledge of what has actually happened. Is that a correct statement?
I have knowledge from the reports I received.
Listen to my
and
question.
the-
Would you listen to my question? You don't have personal knowledge of what has happened. In other words, knowledge that you gleaned from your eyes, ears, or some other form.
Correct. I have not personally
Okay,
witnessed that.
right. Now, you do say that there was a memorandum of understanding that was executed back in 2019.
Yes.
And what special events have occurred at the Pla-Mor since 2019 that you're aware of?
There's been a number of youth nights.
Okay, when? When did this occur? Since 2019.
There's been a number of them.
When?
I don't have the dates in front of me.
So you don't know?
I could look at the nuisance filing and let you know when we've had nuisance events.
That's not what I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't have a list of the special events because the permits were not turned in.
Okay, and you don't, from your own knowledge, know that they had special events. Of your knowledge, do you?
That I've been there and attended? No.
Okay. Secondly, how many special events have occurred per month since November of 2019?
I don't know.
Okay. And do you check the special event roster at the Euclid Police Department?
I do not.
Have you ever checked it?
No.
So if you've never checked it, you don't know whether or not anything was posted on this special event billboard, roster, whatever it is, or not, do you?
I was told by...
I'm not asking what you were told.
No, I have not seen, no.
So you don't know, is my question. Is that right?
Well, I do know because
Well-
I have been told that they have not.
Well, I can tell you it's snowing outside. That would mean you know it's snowing outside. My question is, do you know whether or not it's been posted? Not what someone told you, but what you know.
I have not personally seen it, no.
So you
Are
don't.
you talking about for this business or for all businesses in Euclid?
I'm speaking of this particular business pursuant to the memorandum of understanding. And do you know whether or not there were enough Euclid police officers to work these special events, if they ever occurred? Do you know that, of your knowledge?
I don't personally know that there were officers at the event.
Okay. Mr. Sanders was authorized to hire private security if there were not enough Euclid officers that volunteered, was he not?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. How many special security officers did Mr. Sanders actually hire for these special events since 2019 when this memorandum of understanding was signed?
I don't know.
Okay. Now, I believe you said you did not conduct a head count. Is that right? Of people that were attending these events.
Correct.
So you don't know whether or not there were 440 more or less that were there. Were you aware of the fact that Mr. Sanders has eliminated all teen events?
I'm sorry, all what?
All teen events.
No.
Okay. Would that surprise you if I were to tell you that he did in fact eliminate teen events at the Pla-Mor?
Yes, that would surprise me.
Okay, but you haven't been there, so you wouldn't know either way, correct?
I see social media posts of events.
Well, if you weren't there.
I was not there.
Okay. And do you know whether or not he has installed additional lighting to accommodate people as they enter or exit the Pla-Mor?
I do not.
Do you know if he's installed any kind of special cameras at the Pla-Mor so that he can see and hopefully address safety concerns? Do you know that?
I do not.
That would be helpful in your position as safety director and mayor,
yes,
if you had that information, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Okay. And if he had done that, that would be consistent with his attempts to address and comply with the memorandum of understanding, would it not?
Consistent with the attempt, yes.
Yeah. And what you want him to do, if what you said is accurate and that you want his business to succeed, you want him to attempt to do things that would be helpful for the community and particularly his business. Is that not correct?
I want him to do more than attempt. We need some changes to take place.
Okay, well, if he attempts to make changes, that's at least a step in the right direction, is it not?
Mr. Hardman, the mayor's mindset isn't really relevant here.
Okay. Okay. Do you know how many times Mr. Sanders has reached out to the police department in an attempt to show that he is compliant?
I do not.
Okay. Do you know if he has at all?
I know the police have reached out to him. I don't know if he's reached out to the police.
Okay. If I understand it correctly, you visited the roller rink once in 2019.
Correct.
Have you been back since?
I've been outside.
Okay. When was that?
Multiple times.
When?
I can't give you an exact date. I go downtown.
Has it been in the last
Euclid.
excuse me?
I go into downtown Euclid quite often.
Has it been since the beginning of this year?
Yes.
Okay. Now, have you actually witnessed teenagers committing offenses during the times that you have been there from January until today?
I have not personally witnessed, no.
Okay. I have nothing further.
Anything else?
Briefly, Your Honor. Mayor, you have read police reports about nuisance activity at Pla-Mor.
Yes.
Do you have any reason to dispute these police reports that you've read?
I do not.
Have you seen flyers about special events at Pla-Mor?
I have seen flyers. I have seen online, postings on social media, and certainly heard a number of, reports of people, residents who have been there and experienced it.
If a nuisance occurred at the property, does it matter whether it was during a special event or not?
No.
Is this about race?
No.
Why not? And why is this not about race? What is this about? I'm sorry. Strike that question. What is this about?
It's about the behavior, and it's about the safety of our residents and the patrons of the business and the neighboring businesses. It's purely about behavior.
Thank you. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Anything else?
I have nothing further.
Okay, Mayor, thank you very much. You may step down.
Thank you, Judge.
And,
Leave this here.
yes.
Yes.
Committee, you may call your second witness.
Thank you. Chief Scott Meyer.
Okay, Chief, if you come forward. Swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yep.
You have a seat to my left here. And you need to get as comfortable as you can in that wonderful seat. Could you state and spell your full name for us?
Yes, my name is Scott Meyer. That's Scottmeyer.
Okay, your witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Chief, can you already stated your name, I stated your position, can you please confirm that, and who's your employer?
Yes, I'm the Chief of Police with the Euclid Police Department, City of Euclid.
How long have you been with Euclid Police Department?
I'm in my 26th year.
How long have you been chief?
I'm in my 5th year.
What prior positions through the ranks have you held?
I've held just about every rank and position that's available. Started as a basic patrol officer, was then promoted to a detective, a narcotics and vice unit. Through that, I was civil service test. I was then promoted to sergeant, then to lieutenant, then to captain, and then eventually to chief, holding positions in both patrol and investigative units, both narcotics and vice unit and our general crimes detective bureau.
Okay, just so you know, you have a half an hour left for your case in chief. I subtracted time from the cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. What are your duties and responsibilities as chief of police?
Overall leadership of the Euclid Police Department, and to ensure that the laws of the City of Euclid, the State of Ohio, and the U.S. government are followed, and that all constitutional safeguards are followed too.
You are familiar with the business that is called Pla-Mor?
I am.
Have you ever had the occasion do you know who the owner of the actual building is?
I do not.
You've never heard from the owner of the building or representative thereof?
No, or met with, neither.
Do you know who is the owner of the business called Pla-Mor?
Yes, it's currently owned by Mr. Sanders.
Have you had involvement with or dealings with Mr. Sanders?
Yes, over the last couple of years.
Can you please explain how you come to deal with Mr. Sanders?
I think my first meeting, I talked to him, I don't remember the time frame on that, but talked to him over the phone about some ongoing problems that we were having there. I don't specifically remember if that was 18 or I believe it was. I always had a cordial relationship with Mr. Sanders. As a person, I like him. I find him easy to connect with. And then over time, through some of the issues that we've had there where the police have been involved, I've been involved in some additional meetings and some meetings related to this matter that we're here today.
Can you estimate the number of times you've talked to or met with Mr. Sanders?
I would guess in one form or another, a couple dozen.
And you were part of the negotiations of the memorandum of understanding that we talked about earlier?
Yes.
In the interest of time, I'm not going to get into those details with you, but Mr. Sanders was involved with that process and negotiating the terms and conditions?
Yes.
And you were involved in that?
Yes.
And the mayor?
Yes.
I'd like you to turn, I don't want to go back too far here. I want to stay tight within the past few months about the things that have been going on with Pla-Mor. So if you could please turn to Exhibit E in the book. Can you identify this document, Chief?
Yes, it's a Euclid police report. It's our standard incident format.
Okay, and what is the report number and date on the report?
The report number is 21-00469. The date is January 24th, 21.
And this is a record kept in the ordinary course of business of the Euclid Police Department?
Yes.
Okay. Do you mind just quickly reading through it and giving the court a narrative of this report? Unless you know the contents of it off the top of your head, I'm guessing you don't, but if you could refresh your memory with this report and give the court a narrative, please.
Yes, I read a lot of reports. So, in this particular incident, it looks like it was a little after 9 p.m. One of the officers, while driving by, kind of saw in the vestibule area a female assault punch another female. So that he obviously took action and got out to investigate.
What is the symbol, or this, what does ARA stand for? I assume BAC is victim, WIT is witness, but GRD and...
It arrested, and it can either mean a physical arrest or a judge or a citation.
And is GRD guardian?
Yes, that is guardian, sorry.
So someone was arrested or in this?
Well, yeah, it was
Or a citation was issued?
yes, it was a 22-year-old female struck a 16-year-old female. And through the course of the investigation, the officers did cite the adult. She is an adult, so they were able to write a criminal ticket, that's a municipal ticket for assault.
Would you consider this nuisance activity attributed to this business?
Objection.
I would. It's two patrons in the vestibule of the business.
In a fight?
In a physical fight. Assaulting another is against the law.
And assault is a nuisance under the local code?
Yes.
Are you aware, is nuisance an assault, is assault a nuisance under the local code?
Yes.
Exhibit F, please.
This many for today's purposes, you're asking me to follow the revised code, not the Euclid code, correct?
Yes, Your Honor, but under revised code, it is whatever is deemed a nuisance under statutes or, as mentioned earlier, anything. A nuisance is a place where the operation of a place substantially interferes with public decency, sobriety, peace, and good order. Also under that section, nuisance is defined as that which is defined in clear definition. Sorry.
Okay, also defined in that.
Also in that section, revised code defines a nuisance as that which is defined and declared by statutes to be a nuisance. So we're seeking to establish that the nuisances that occur on the local level should also be considered nuisance under the state code.
Thank you.
Back to Exhibit F, Chief, can you please identify this document, the report number, and the date, please?
Okay. This is a 21-01113, and the date is February 27th, 2021.
Can you quickly review it and give the judge a narrative of this report?
Yes. Our officer, they responded to a disturbance. Appears maybe that one of our auxiliary officers was either working the event or saw a physical fight outside. It was females fighting. Officers responded. Those parties had left the area. They tried to get information from parties that were still on scene, and no one would cooperate with the police or answer any of their questions.
Would you consider this nuisance activity attributed to the business?
Objection.
Overruled.
It happened on the property, patrons of the business.
And again, it is an assault, is assault a nuisance under the local code?
Yes.
Turning to Exhibit G, please. Can you identify this document, report number, and date, please?
21-01253. And it occurred on March 6, 2021.
Can you quickly review this and give the judge a narrative of what occurred on this day?
Yes. Okay, and for this incident, the officers responded to a call, and it may have been, looks like one of the auxiliary officers may have been working the event, and were called there for a large fight at the premises, consisting of about 20 persons. In an effort to get those individuals to stop physically fighting with each other, a non-direct application of OC spray, pepper spray, generally people know that, was dispersed, and then all of the parties dispersed, many going into neighboring businesses. They appeared to be a car transporting some parties back and forth to fight. And then one of the victims, they found a party that had a visible a swollen lip and some bleeding. She refused medical attention, refused to provide any additional information to police. Her mother did respond to the scene, and she was taken by her mother from the scene.
Would you consider this a nuisance activity attributed to this business?
Objection.
I would, patrons of the business.
Objection. There's no indication that these were patrons of the business. The report says they were outside in front of the business. There's nothing in the report that says they were patrons of the business.
Your objection is noted. And you will have the opportunity to cross-examine.
Next report, Exhibit G, please, Chief. I'm sorry, H? You're on H?
I am now.
All right. H. Sorry, H. Can you please identify this document and the report number and the date, please?
Yes, and this is H?
Mm-hmm, H.
Okay, it is 21-01400, and the date of this is March 13th, 2021.
Can you please quickly read through it and give the judge a narrative of this report?
Okay, in this event, again, I don't know if it looks like one of our auxiliary officers was either working the event or was out on, a lot of times they'll do supplemental patrol. And he observed approximately 60 juveniles begin exiting the building, which is the Pla-Mor. Let me follow this. They left the premises towards Dave's supermarket. What appears to be sporadically fighting with each other. They were also Shore Center Drive. The traffic. There were individuals standing in the roadway, impeding traffic, refusing to move for traffic. During that time, a female was assaulted. She was specifically kicked in the head. That did occur in the neighboring parking lot of the Burlington Coat Factory. There was another fight that occurred. Apparently there were multiple fights that occurred either in front of the Pla-Mor or on neighboring properties.
Would you consider this nuisance activity attributed to the Pla-Mor?
Objection.
I would. Initially, it starts as the juveniles exiting the business, Pla-Mor.
Okay, turning to Exhibit I, please. Same thing. Can you please identify this document, report number, and date?
21-01545, that occurred on March 20th, 2021.
Can you please read through it quickly and give the judge a narrative of this report?
Yeah, and this, officers responded to report approximately 90 teens fighting, it looks like outside of the business. Looks like there are several groups in front of the Pla-Mor. In between between the Pla-Mor and the Burlington Coat Factory parking lot. The officers, more than anything, were attempting to deter the kids from running across and getting struck by cars or impeding traffic on Shore Center Drive. There were a large group fighting, non-direct application of OC spray, otherwise known as pepper spray, to get the parties to disperse. They were able to do so.
Would you attribute this nuisance activity to the business?
Objection.
Outside of the business and in between that business and the business next door appear to be patrons.
Objection. There's no indication they were patrons. They were outside of the business.
Argument overruled.
Chief, does the first line of the report say that police officers were dispatched to the Pla-Mor roller rink?
And this is 45. Yes, officers responded to 22466 Shore Center Drive, Pla-Mor, for a report of approximately 90 teens outside fighting.
You've now read two reports, this one that you just did, 1545, and Exhibit I and Exhibit G. Pepper spray was used. One of the reports, March 6th, March 20th. So we have officers using pepper spray twice in 1 month. Do you have concerns with that?
I do.
What are your concerns?
My concerns are for everybody's safety, the safety of anybody involved, bystanders, the officers. I'm concerned for the optics. I'm concerned for just the general concern for obviously public safety being number one, but the actual, the calls and the things that we get from residents and business owners related to this type of activity, I am concerned. But I'm concerned about the safety of the individuals and of the officers and bystanders.
One more report, Chief. Exhibit J. Can you please identify this document by report number and date, please?
Yes. It is 21-01826. The date on this is April 3rd, 2021.
Can you please quickly look through this and give the judge a narrative of this report?
Yes. The incident is titled, get back to the beginning here, sorry. It is titled A Rape. On the 3rd, officers were sent to the Cleveland Clinic, South Point Hospital, to take a report of a rape that had reportedly occurred in the city of Euclid. They were called by Cleveland Clinic security, advising that this female victim was in the emergency department. The officers got there. It was one of our female and one of our male officers. The victim was very upset, didn't want to talk to anybody, didn't want to be, this is according to the sane nurses, didn't want to be touched, didn't want to be, seemed to be very fearful. The female officer spoke with her, and the victim agreed to speak with her and she alone, so the male officer stepped out. And basically she had advised that on April 2nd, at approximately 11 p.m., she had arrived at the Pla-Mor to meet with a friend. Apparently the friend was working as a DJ that night at the Pla-Mor. She said she was there. She was approached by another unknown male. This is while she was near the DJ booth. And he had asked for her name and phone number. She gave him her name, but she didn't want to give her phone number. He asked if she wanted a drink. She said yes. He had provided her with, I would believe it was a Gatorade or Gatorade container. He gave that to her and then kind of walked away. She started to drink that. She had her friend who was DJing there taste it, and he thought that it tasted strange after she had consumed some. Started to feel very kind of out of body experience. She went out to her car to leave. When she got into her car, she said an unknown male pushed over. Apparently he was in the passenger seat. She does not know if this was the same male. This is what she tells the officers, if this was the same male who provided her with the Gatorade originally. But feeling woozy, and she remembers parts of the night telling the male to stop while he raped her. And she said she didn't have the physical strength to stop the assault. She just knew it was in a dark, cold place. And apparently then woke up the next day in her vehicle on the side of the road, but now was the only occupant in the vehicle, and then sought medical treatment.
Would you consider this nuisance activity attributed to this business?
Objection.
For this type of behavior, or for this type of activity to be occurring at a business, yes, I find it to be a nuisance and to be very problematic.
Your Honor,
The last portion of that has to be stricken, Your Honor. This didn't even happen at the business.
Pardon me?
This did not happen at the business. This happened in a car somewhere on the road.
Again, argument overruled.
Chief, was this woman drugged with a Gatorade at the Pla-Mor?
Objection to the leading form of that question.
I cannot definitively say that. That's certainly what the record would lead a reasonable person to believe. I'm sure that there will be, obviously there will be investigative follow-up and toxicology and other things that will be done.
Chief, we went through exhibits E through J with you, these police reports. Are these all records kept in the ordinary course of business of the Euclid Police Department?
They are.
Your Honor, how many more minutes do I have? I'm deciding whether to continue with the chief or quickly call one more person.
You have 7 minutes.
I'm going to be done with the chief, thank you.
Okay.
No further questions, thank you to the chief.
Cross-examination.
Chief Myers, you're aware of the fact that Miguel Sanders is the owner of the business at Pla-Mor, is that correct?
Yes, that's my understanding.
And you said that you've interacted with him on approximately 24 times, which would be about 24 separate times, right?
Okay.
Give or take.
Yeah, it'd be an estimate through either email or phone or these meetings, or having been to his business.
And also, some of your subordinates have also interacted with Mr. Sanders, is that correct?
Yes.
And the nature of these interactions were to address concerns at the Pla-Mor, is that correct?
I can speak to my interactions.
Sure, absolutely.
My interactions were, many of those were, and then there were some that were more social when I had visited the business.
Okay, so did it appear as if Mr. Sanders was legitimately concerned about criminal activity at the Pla-Mor?
That's a difficult one. Yes, I think that he was concerned. I think that he is concerned about the issues that are taking place there, but it's who feels that has the onus for these issues. And through my interaction, I got, obviously, I was led to believe that it's what happens outside business or these things, that's the police's problem to deal with and figure out.
Let me stop you for a second.
Okay.
You can continue, but did he report criminal activity to you on any occasions?
Trying to think directly to me. I'm sure he did to, I'd have to go through the reports or see if he reported to the police department.
Okay. And did he request assistance from the police department relative to criminal activity?
He did. I remember on one occasion, wanting that the police should do more to attempt to patrol the area or keep juveniles accountable. I think was that type of conversation.
And that's what a responsible business owner would do. If in fact there were problems at his business, you agree with that, wouldn't you, officer or chief?
I would.
Okay. Now, you nevertheless, let's take the last incident first that you referenced. You said there was a rape. When did this rape occur?
Well, in the sequence of events, if the drink is involved and there was a drug involved, that rape began at that business.
I didn't say where it began. I said where did the rape occur? I'm defining rape as insertion of one's penis into a vagina. Where did that occur?
I can't definitively say.
Okay, you don't know.
I don't know.
And based on the information you have, it didn't occur at the Pla-Mor, did it?
Based on the information I have, I'm not led to believe that it happened at the Pla-Mor.
Okay. And Exhibit I talks about a fight between a group of people, and I think the word riot was used. Where did that occur?
I'm sorry, which one?
Exhibit I.
Okay.
The second last one.
If you don't mind, so I can. Exhibit I. That occurred. We were called to the Pla-Mor, the 224-66 Shore Center Drive.
Did it occur on Pla-Mor property?
A large fight, 20 to 30 kids, started in the parking lot between the Pla-Mor and the Burlington Coat Factory.
Okay. Did you cite Burlington Coat Factory as a nuisance or maintaining a nuisance?
No, nor would we.
Okay. Obviously, it's in the parking lot, right? And you couldn't really tell if the kids had been in the Burlington or they had been in the Pla-Mor.
Unlikely at Burlington. I don't believe they're open at that time.
I'm not asking you to speculate.
Okay.
I'm asking what you can tell from reading your report. You couldn't really tell, could you?
I'm strongly led to believe that.
That's not my question. That's not my question, sir. You can't tell, can you?
We were called to the Shore Center Drive, group of kids standing out front, now they're fighting in front of and now they're fighting in between the two businesses.
Okay, so you can't tell, can you?
And what is it I can't tell?
You can't tell where these kids came from, can you, sir?
Well, I believe I can.
Mr. Hardeman, you can't ask a question and then prevent the witness from answering.
Okay, I apologize. Officer, you cannot tell, based on that report, where these kids came from. What you know is they were in a parking lot between Burlington and the Pla-Mor. That's what you know, according to the report. Is that correct, sir?
That's correct.
Okay. And the same thing is true about Exhibit H, I believe, in which kids were fighting, right?
Let me get to H. the auxiliary officer advised that he watched 60 juveniles exit the building, and then as they began walking, they started fighting. So they were no longer on the property, but they had exited the property.
Okay, they left the property.
Yes.
Okay, I got you. Now, are you familiar with what Mr. Miguel Sanders has done to address the problems at business establishments?
I know what was discussed.
No, I'm asking what he did, not what he talked about doing, but what he actually did.
I'm not directly familiar with what steps he believes he's taken.
Okay. You aware of the fact that he put up additional lighting to discourage disruptive behavior? You aware of that?
I was not. I'm glad to hear that.
Were you aware that would be important, wouldn't it?
Lighting is always important for.
Good. And were you aware of the fact that he hired additional security guards to disperse crowds and discourage unruly behavior? Were you aware of that?
I was aware that he had, I assume, what would be private security there.
Okay. Were you aware of the fact that he had put up video cameras to record criminal behavior? Were you aware of that?
That I was not aware of.
Okay. All of those things, however, would be important for a person who wants to address potential nuisances at their business, would they not?
They should be part of a program, yes, to address that.
Right. And you discussed with Mr. Sanders on more than one occasion a comprehensive program so that you could address problems, right, at the business.
Yes, we had all discussed what Mr. Sanders involved too, and what we collectively thought would help to eliminate these issues.
Okay, I have nothing further.
Anything else?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Okay, Chief, you may step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Like 3
Thank you,
years
Your
ago.
Honor. Captain Jeff Cutright?
Hold on. Raise your hand. Swear the testimony about the good with the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please have a seat to my left. And could you state and spell your full name for us once you get seated there?
I'm Captain Jeff Cutright, that's C-U-T-W-R-I-G-H-T. I'm a captain with the Euclid Police Department.
Your witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Captain Cutright, what are your duties and responsibilities as captain at the Euclid Police Department?
I'm the captain of Patrol Division, in charge of 3 lieutenants, 6 sergeants, approximately 50 patrolmen.
Are you familiar with the business that is Pla-Mor?
Yes.
What has been your involvement or your knowledge of Pla-Mor?
My role in the Pla-Mor is try to manage the crowds, the violence, the riots, the property damage, and disturbances associated with the patrons of that business.
Have you worked events at Pla-Mor?
Yes.
Can you please tell us about that?
I've seen a lot of fighting. Generally, if there's a problem inside the skating rink, security and the management push everybody outside. They evacuate the building, usually all at once. And after that, it becomes a problem for the police department to quell the violence, the property damage, the rioting, throwing of rocks and bottles at police, and trying to stop the fighting in the interest of public safety so people don't get hurt, kids don't get hurt, police officers don't get hurt, and property doesn't get damaged.
Have our Euclid police officers had to use force in responding to incidents?
Yes, frequently.
Under what circumstances?
Rioting, multiple fights, groups of anywhere from 50 to 100 to 400 kids fighting all at once. We've had to send everybody available on the road to the location in the interest of public safety to stop people from getting hurt.
And what happens when you have to send all officers to one location? What happens to other places in the city?
We don't have policing in other areas of the city. Calls for service are delayed. Emergency calls have to wait. When you have that large of a crowd fighting, obviously the chance that a kid could be injured, an officer can be injured, the staff at the Pla-Mor could be injured, surrounding businesses have suffered damage. So it's a rather large problem to handle with just 9 officers.
Have you seen damages at nearby businesses?
Yeah, CVS, Walgreens, Burlington, Coat Factory, which is right next door to the Pla-Mor. I've witnessed broken glass, displays knocked over by mobs of kids that they just go in and they do a lot of damage, knock displays over, frighten the employees, and often shoplift. And when you have 50, 60 kids shoplifting, I mean, who do you arrest? I mean, it's just at times we're overwhelmed and have had to call multiple cities and the Ohio State Highway Patrol for mutual aid to help get a lid on the situation.
The damage that you described at the area businesses, that damage was done by Pla-Mor patrons? Who has done the damage at those local businesses?
Fighting kids had done the damage. Large groups of kids that aren't, even if they're not fighting, they're engaging in disorderly, disruptive, destructive practices that go beyond the Pla-Mor, that affect all the businesses on Shore Center Drive, on Lake Shore, on East 222nd, on Babbitt. It involves the Wendy's restaurant. It involves the CVS drugstore, the Walgreens, the Burlington Coat Factory recently locked their doors and the employees hid in the back. Because with that many people fighting, they were certainly worried about getting injured.
I don't know if you answered my question because I zoned out 1 second, but are these the Pla-Mor patrons causing this damage?
Objection.
I've seen kids from the Pla-Mor on those specific times engaging in fighting, disorderly conduct, and damaging property.
When was the last time you worked at Pla-Mor?
I went there March 27th of this year.
What did you observe?
Objection. That answer is not responsive to the question. The question was, when was the last time you worked there?
Yeah.
March 27th, 2020.
This is a bench trial.
What did you observe, Captain?
I observed carloads of kids. I was standing out front, making my presence obvious. At times I would be parked across the street. I would drive around the premises like every half hour, get out of the car, engage with people, engage groups of kids that were gonna walk in. I'd address them, say hello, try to make myself interact with every group heading to the door. Not to dissuade them going in, but just say hello, that the police are here, that we care, that they don't get hurt, that they have a good time. Some groups of kids, they smiled and went right in. Some carloads of kids saw me out there and they drove off.
Did you go inside the Pla-Mor?
Yes.
Who did you observe inside? Not by name, but what kinds of folks were there?
Kids, I would say, range from 7, 8 years old up to their 20s. Crowd of like 60 people or so.
And were any parents there?
6.
6 parents. How do you know that to be the case?
I counted them.
Was there a sign-in sheet at all?
No, there was a document that the Pla-Mor put out an advertisement that any kids going had to be registered by their parents, and their parents had to accompany them for the entire session. This was a Pla-Mor's advertisement, not my own. I walked in and I asked to see the registration sheets, and there were 6. I counted them.
6 what?
6 registration sheets where parents signed in their child. And I did observe, I don't know if it's exact 6 same parents, but I did observe 6 parents supervising their children inside the facility.
And how many kids approximately?
About 60.
There were 6 parents for 60 kids.
That's correct.
Did you see Mr. Sanders when you were there?
No, when I walked in, I didn't see him. I couldn't tell you if he was there or not. I interacted with some of the employees. They told me I didn't need to be in there, but I'm just there to let the kids know the police are here. We care. We're not, we're here to make sure they have a good time.
And we are running out of time,
Okay.
so
No
you can
further-
finish it.
No further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
You may cross-examine.
Officer Cutright, there were a number of emails that were exchanged between you and Mr. Sanders relative to issues at the Pla-Mor, correct?
That's correct. I try to work with Mr. Sanders. I have his cell phone number. I gave him my email. I try to work with business owners so that they can succeed, that kids don't get hurt, the businesses, Mr. Sanders' business becomes part of the community and he can thrive and the other businesses can thrive and everybody's safe.
And Mr. Sanders did indicate to you the concerns he had, and he wanted more security so that it would be a safe environment. That was communicated to you in these emails, was it not?
I don't recall the specific emails, but I can tell you that Mr. Sanders was concerned about security at his place.
Okay, over an extended period of time, is that correct?
Over what, I'm sorry?
An extended period of time.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I try to, he has my email, anything he needs, he can reach out to me, and I'm a service-oriented person, so I'm always glad to help.
I'm going to show you a document and ask you if you've seen this document before.
Hardeman, I get to look at it first.
Sure. Have you seen this document before, officer?
Take a look. Yes, I have. I actually saw it taped to the front door of the Pla-Mor.
And what does that document indicate?
Indicates that all children under 18 must be accompanied with a parent for the entire skate session.
When did you see that document taped to the front door?
Had been sometime in 2020, maybe beginning of 2020.
Okay. And do you know who taped it? Do you know?
No, I do not.
This seems to suggest that someone was making an attempt to make sure that children were not permitted on the premises to be disrupted. Is that your interpretation of that?
It certainly is an outward signal of it, but by practice, it's not what occurred.
Well, I'm asking you just on this document.
Yeah, based on that document, it is an outward indication of policy.
Okay. Did you ever see the application from the Pla-Mor for adult and youth membership? Did you ever see that?
Yes.
Okay. And what was that?
Had the parent's name, kid's name, address, phone number.
And who provided you with that document?
I saw it on the 27th when I counted how many there were.
Did that indicate to you that someone was trying to control youthful disruption?
No.
In other words, to get parental involvement?
No.
What did it indicate to you, sir?
It was a outward symbol of some attempt to get some of the parents and some of the kids registered.
Okay. I have nothing further.
Nothing, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, Captain, you may step down. We're going to take a 10-minute break, and then Mr. Harden will have a chance to call his witnesses. All right.
All rise.
Okay. Ready?
We're ready, Your Honor.
You can be seated.
This is my witness. You need to send the witness stand?
Yeah, come on forward, let's swear you in. Okay, you raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please have a seat. And could you tell us your name and then spell it for the record?
Marcus Epps, M-A-R-C-U-S.
Okay, you can pull the microphone down a little bit so we can...
Marcus Epps, M-A-R-C-U-S-E-P-P-S.
Mr. Epps, are you a resident of Euclid, Ohio?
Fourth generation, I am.
And do you hold an elected position in the city of Euclid?
I am a Ward 3 city councilman.
Okay, and how long have you been a city council person?
This is my second year.
Okay, so it'll be 2 years when?
In November of this year.
I see. Now, I understand that you were a patron of the Roller Dome before it became the Pla-Mor, is that correct?
I was. As a family, my mother took my sister and I there as kids, and from age 13 to 17, I was an employee of the rink as well.
What did you do at the roller rink?
As everyone else, I started in the snack bar. By the time I was 14, I was a floor guard as well.
Okay. And you graduated from Euclid High School?
I did in 2003.
Okay. Now, are you familiar with Keith Bolden?
Yes.
And who is Keith Bolden?
He was the owner at the time.
At what time?
When I grew up and I worked there.
Okay. And
when was this?
I'm sorry?
What year was this?
13 to 17, I'd say, from 1998 to 2002.
And what was, is Bolden, B-O-L-D-E-N?
Yes, I believe so.
And what was his race?
He was white.
Okay. Now, when Mr. Bolden ran the Roller Dome, which is now Pla-Mor, were there any incidents of fighting among the teenage kids?
Every Friday and Saturday night.
Okay. And did the Euclid police participate in crowd control or anything of that sort at the time?
Yes.
We're talking about the time period 1998 to 2000.
That is correct.
Almost 20 years ago.
Yes. I'm going to bring it forward.
And you think this is a problem?
I think it is.
You got an hour. You can
Okay.
use it however you want, but I would remind you it's a strict liability statute as well.
Okay. When you were working at the Pla-Mor, at the Roller Dome years ago, were police called out on a regular basis to address concerns with unruly teenagers?
I would say the difference between then and now were the police were an active part of our team, and they were there during sessions, as well as on the inside and the outside of the rink, and kind of more in a community policing role, whereas that is not the case now.
Okay, what is going on now?
Now I see our officers more so in playing a role where they, as opposed to being a community partner and a partner with this business and being present on the scene prior to these incidents, it's like they sit, wait for the incident, they come and play an antagonistic role as opposed to a support role.
Have you done anything to provide assistance to Pla-Mor or Miguel Sanders to address concerns of unruly behavior by teenagers?
We've had several conversations in which to implement policies that I thought that if you put in place could help mitigate some of the situations that are there, such as parental signage as for students or for young people when they come into the rink, and that sort of thing, accompanying their kids to the rink. Those are some of the discussions that we've had, as well as myself going there and being a part of the skate environment as I have been my whole life as well.
Do you go there on a regular basis?
I wouldn't say on a regular basis now. My schedule's a little too busy for on a regular basis, but I do from time to time go on skate sessions. My kids do as well. In fact, on my way here today, my son said, "I'm glad you're doing this because I want to be able to go back there."
Objection.
Overruled.
Do you think the city has done what it should do to assist the Pla-Mor in becoming a viable business or remaining a viable business?
I think that we can do a lot more.
Okay. What do you believe the city should be doing to make certain that the Pla-Mor remains a viable business?
Well, I've had conversations with the city as well as Mr. Sanders, as I would like to see our officers play the role that they played when Keith owned the rink. And that was more in a supportive role as opposed to, again, as I mentioned, an antagonistic role. In fact, the first incident that happened in
Can you slow down just a little bit?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
The incident that happened in 2019, I happened to be bringing my son to the rink, and outside the rink, the officers were there, and at the time, I don't think the officer knew who I was, and I asked him, what's going on here, because I was uncomfortable leaving my kids with the show of force and guns that was out by police. And that officer specifically said to me that they didn't hire Euclid Police Security, and tonight they're gonna find out why. What happens when you don't do that.
Objection.
Basis?
Hearsay.
That was what was said to me.
Hearsay.
Sustained.
Now, do you know who by whom was this police officer employed with whom you had some conversation?
The Euclid Police Department.
Okay. And are you aware of the fact that there have been some private security not employed by the city of Euclid working security at Pla-Mor?
Yes, quite a few, actually. Again, since incidents, Mr. Sanders, in my opinion, has done what he needs to do to make sure that not only security guards, but volunteers as well inside the rink. I don't think it's his job to police our streets. If a fight broke out in front of the police station, we're not going to close the police station. These events and things happen at our schools. We're not going to close our schools. I think that we have to do a better job as a city in playing a partnership role as opposed to just trying to shut this man down. I don't think we've done enough in the way of partnership, and I think we can go a step further.
Have there been other incidents of violence, unruly behavior, fights, shooting in other parts of the city, not the Pla-Mor?
Yes, in fact, we have several incidents that happen in my own ward, for example, and we...
Okay, we're not going to turn this into what you're attempting to turn this into. So let's just focus on the defendant in the city of Euclid.
How would you describe the Pla-Mor as let me ask it a different way. Would you describe it as a community center, an isolated business? How would you describe it?
I would describe it as a community center. Even back when Keith owned it, and Miguel has continued with that tradition in offering his place for community organizations to have fundraising events and that sort of thing as well. So I would say a community place. We just recently demolished our pools. We had an opportunity to save the Y and we didn't, and now here we are taking another opportunity.
Relevance.
Our kids have nowhere to go, and I'm glad that the rink is there as a place for them to go, and I think we could do a better job as a city in coalescing around that and making it a safer place for not only our neighboring businesses, but for our kids and our families as well.
Do you think, as an elected official, that the city has done what it could to address unruly behavior?
Objection.
No.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
It'd be nice if you gave me a chance to rule on the objection. What's the basis of the objection?
I'm sorry, Your Honor, what was, I don't remember the question. I think it was probably relevance. I can't remember what the last thing you just testified to.
Sustained. You may step down.
I do, yes, thank you, Your Honor.
Cross.
Thank you, Your Honor. Councilman Epps, are you aware of an initial filing of a nuisance complaint back in 2019 against the Pla-Mor?
Yes.
Are you aware that multiple meetings were held between city administration and Mr. Sanders to try to resolve the issues in that complaint?
I was not in any meetings like that, no. I can't speak to that.
Would you dispute, would you have any reason to dispute that the mayor, the chief, Captain Cutright, and Councilwoman McIntosh and Council President Mancuso met with Mr. Sanders to discuss how to make the business better? Would you have any reason to dispute that?
I can't speak to that as I was not privy to those conversations.
Are you aware that the city entered into a memorandum of understanding with Mr. Sanders?
I am.
You are? Okay. Are you aware if Mr. Sanders complied with all the terms of the memorandum of understanding?
To my knowledge, I think there was a breakdown on both sides. I don't think the city complied with their portion of partnership, and I think that there were possibly some things that Mr. Sanders could do if he had more of that partnership and cooperation from the city. So I think there's a part to be played on both parts in that regard.
My question was, Councilman, are you aware if Mr. Sanders complied with all of the terms of the MOU?
I'm gonna say that I won't speak to that then, because that would be my opinion, because I don't know.
You don't know, okay. When was the last time you were at the Pla-Mor? Either going to a skating thing or physically there?
A couple weeks ago.
Okay, what date was that?
I don't know specifically what day. It was a Tuesday night session.
Tuesday night, okay. Were you there on January 24th, 2021?
I do not think so, no.
Were you there on February 27th, 2021?
I'm not sure. I don't think so, no.
Were you there on March 6th, 2021?
Was that a Tuesday?
No.
Okay, no.
Okay. Were you there on March 13th, 2021?
No.
Were you there on March 20th, 2021?
No.
Were you there on April 2nd, 2021?
No.
Okay. Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Are all the dates in question Saturdays?
They are Fridays or Saturdays, I believe, Your Honor. I'd have to go through the calendar. But or I can quickly go through the exhibits if you'd like me to.
That's all right.
Okay. Sunday, Saturday, 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 Saturday. Thank you.
Mr. Hardeman, anything else?
Nothing further.
Okay, Councilman Elms, you may step down.
Thank you.
I would call Mr. Warren Hatchett.
Okay, the judge should come forward, raise your right hand. Swear to testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
You have a seat to my left.
Mr. Hatchett.
Can you state your, spell your name, please?
Warren, W-A-R-R-E-N, Hatchett, H-A-T-C-H-E-T-T.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Hatchett, were you the prior owner of the facility currently known as Miggs Pla-Mor?
Yes.
When did you own?
2009 through 2018.
And did you sell that business to Mr. Miguel Sanders?
No.
What happened?
We were going to, we requested the owner of the building to fix the roof.
Well, I don't want to get into that, but did you terminate your relationship of the business known as Pla-Mor?
Yes, we did not like the agreement to renew the lease.
You terminated your relationship.
Correct.
And did you sell the business to Mr. Miguel Sanders?
No.
What happened?
The business was turned back over to Morgan, to Doug Morgan.
Okay. And during the time that you were the operator of the business, you were functioning in association with certain other people, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you were one of 3 partners?
One of 4, yes.
One of 4 partners. Now, have you been to the Pla-Mor in the last several months?
I'm there almost every Thursday.
Why is that?
Because I'm a skater.
Okay.
It's a part of my life. It's who I am.
Have you noticed any improvements in terms of lighting at the facility? In the last
Yes.
What have you noticed?
That there is more visible lights from the entrance part of it, and as well as with inside the facility. You know, I even made a comment to Miguel. I go, oh, hey, okay.
Okay. Have you noticed the video cameras that have been installed?
Not from the outside, but I have been in the office and I've seen the screen that shows the improvement of the amount of video cameras in the coverage area. We had some, but it was not as intense as what Miguel now has.
Now, do you know why this additional lighting and these video cameras were installed?
He didn't say as to why to me. I never questioned that.
Okay. Do you know whether or not it's a deterrent for criminal behavior or unruly teenagers?
It's always a deterrent, especially if something is well lit. If people see the cameras, they're more likely not to do certain activities. So it is a deterrent.
Now, when you were the owner or one of the owners of the Pla-Mor, did you have problems with unruly children?
Oh yes, there's nothing new.
I mean, every generation has problems with teenagers. Nothing is new.
And how did you address those problems?
We had several meetings with the city. We had 2 meetings in regarding to the youth problem. And we did sit down and talk over some guidelines. We implemented those guidelines, but kids are kids. You're not going to stop them from fighting. You can't have a hand on every child to make sure they do right. That's no matter what business you have, no matter where you're at, kids are going to be kids.
Now, what night do you skate at the Pla-Mor?
Thursday night.
And are you aware of the fact that children under 18 have been excluded unless they're in the company of an adult?
Well, Thursday night is 18 and over. And I've had a conversation with Miguel. Other than his family sessions, it's all 18 and over.
Okay. And when did that go into effect?
I'm not sure exactly when, but I know, you know, in looking at his schedule and what have you, it shows 18 and over for certain sessions, and the other sessions are for family. And there used to be a teen night, but I'm not through him, but through my business and also the previous business, and those do not exist anymore.
Okay. And when did this teen night or this teen skating afternoon, whatever it was, when did that end as far as you know?
It ended shortly after I took over, within like the first couple years. Keith was the one that had our, basically Friday nights was teen, and Saturday night there was a lot of teens, but Friday night was the main teen night. And I continued with it until it just got out of hand. You know, even having police officers, we had police officers every Friday, and still the kids would fight.
Did you have police officers from the city of Euclid?
Yes.
The city of Cleveland, or private security?
City of Euclid, but that was my decision. I would only use the City of Euclid police. And the reason why I went that way is because if there is a problem outside, they're the ones that have to deal with it. They're the ones that have the ability to help the city, you know, to help the business.
Are you aware of any attempts to declare the Pla-Mor a nuisance and shut it down, other than what we're faced with today?
They tried to do that with me as well.
What happened?
Basically, I just had to cut out the teen sessions, which of course was the bulk of my revenue.
Okay. Now, I'll show you a document and ask you whether or not you've ever seen this before.
Yes, I have.
And where did you see this document?
Posted at the entrance door. Also, I've seen it posted right by where you pay to get in.
Okay. Has this been enforced to your knowledge?
To my knowledge, I can't say. I skate on the adult night.
Okay.
So I can't say that.
And that adult night, you said it's Thursday, I believe?
Thursday is the night that I skate.
Okay. Do you have children?
They're grown.
Oh, adult children. Never mind that. I have nothing further. Thank you very much, Mr. Hatchett.
Any cross?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Hatchett, when did the city declare your property a nuisance?
Well, there was nothing official as far as any citations or anything like that. Just when I was at the meeting with the mayor, that they said that your business is a nuisance, and I can't speak for sure, but this has been going on long before me with the kids, with the teenagers on a Friday and Saturday. So we did sit down and work, and we came up with some things. Those things were implemented, and kids still do fight.
Do you remember what year that was?
as far as sitting down with the,
Right.
it was after like our second year, I can't remember the exact, but probably around 2010 and 11, somewhere in there that we had to sit down with the mayor, and then maybe another year after that.
Was that Mayor Cervenik at the time?
I can't remember the name offhand.
It was
but
not Mayor Kirsten Gale?
No.
And you engaged with the city and had open discussions about what to do to help your business or change your business practices?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did you heed those suggestions?
As best I could, yes.
And you made changes suggested by the city after coming to mutual agreement, is that fair to say?
Yes.
So you said you skate mostly on Thursdays. Do you ever go on the weekends?
No. Maybe once, I've been there maybe once within the last year. But as far as me being a skater, the Thursday night is my night for skating.
Were you did you skate at the Pla-Mor on January 24th of 2021?
I can't speak to those particular dates. I'm mainly there on Thursday. As far as this year, I have not been there during, a Saturday or afternoon session, no.
No Saturday or Sunday?
Correct.
Okay, nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
I have nothing further.
Okay. Mr. Hatch, thank you very much. You may step down.
Tell Dorothy Curtis to come in. Dorothy Curtis.
Come forward, swear in. You raise your right hand. Swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please have a seat and have the witness stand. Okay, can you tell us your name?
Dorothy Curtis.
I'm sorry, what is it?
Dorothy Curtis.
Jordan Curtis, and how do you spell that?
C-U-R-T-I-S.
It's Dorothy.
Dorothy. D-O-R-O-T-H-Y.
You take your mask off.
Okay.
You may proceed.
Ms. Curtis, do you have any involvement with Miggs Pla-Mor?
Yes.
And in what capacity do you function with Miggs Pla-Mor?
I come up there and I volunteer for the Pla-Mor.
And what does your volunteer work consist of?
So technically we call me the operations director. So it consists of many jobs at the Pla-Mor.
What jobs?
I said it consists of many jobs at the
Many
Pla-Mor.
jobs, okay.
Many jobs at the Pla-Mor.
And what are those jobs? What are those jobs?
So I come up there, do volunteer work as I stated. I help at the concession stand, the skate counter, the cleanup, help with the teens that are actually coming in, giving them directions because a lot of them are the young females. So I actually talk to them and that sort of thing. So you name it, I do it.
Okay. Now, there's been an allegation that the teens come and engage in unruly behavior, fights and those type of things. Has that occurred?
There has been some fights at the Pla-Mor.
Excuse me. What has been done to address them?
There's been, yeah, sure. There's been several things that's been done to try to avoid some of the fights. A lot of things were the lighting issue. We were trying to get more lighting at the Pla-Mor, so Miguel had installed lighting. He also installed cameras to try and make sure not only are we watching inside, but we're watching outside as well. We've established kind of, if you will, a mentoring program for the kids to say, listen, if there's anything that's going on, you can come, especially for me, you can come and talk to me about any issues that you may currently have. I'm trying to make sure I address everything that I can think of.
When was the additional lighting put in?
I'm not exactly sure of the time frame. I'll be honest. I'm not sure of the time frame.
Okay. But was it put in following some meetings with the city?
Yes. Oh, yes. These actions were taking place after some of the meetings with the city.
And were you involved in any of those meetings with the city?
Not directly, no.
Okay. Lighting, cameras, mentoring programs, what else has been done at Mig's Pla-Mor?
I mean, even in some sessions, I can say, Mig has stopped the music to talk to the kids, to let them know the importance of not fighting, and that sort of thing in the Pla-Mor, and to be more responsible in the community. I mean, we've actually cut down the music to talk to the kids while they were there.
So basically, while people are skating, music is playing.
We'll stop the music.
You stop the music. And who will go, I guess, on the amplification system to have conversations with people?
Miguel.
Okay.
Miguel would actually talk to the individuals that are there and say, hey, listen, this is our place. And we try to emphasize that at Mig's Pla-Mor. It's our house. And we even have a sign that says that in the Pla-Mor. It's our house, because we want to make them feel comfortable and know that what you're destroying is yours too.
Okay. And have you been involved with conversations with law enforcement at Mig's Pla-Mor?
I have talked to some of the officers that were there. I was there on the first riot, as they call it, but the first fight that actually happened, I was actually there and totally appalled at what I saw with my own eyes.
What did you say?
So, Jesus. Excuse me. What I saw and what is so vivid in my mind to this day is the kids were outside and the officers were running around. I don't know if it's a rifle, whatever they had that looked like a rifle, running and pointing at these kids. And I'm like screaming at the officer as he's doing it, like, what are you doing? And I look at another officer that's standing close by, and he just held his head down. And I'm thinking, is this what we're doing? Really? Is this what we're doing? And so, we have to take responsibilities of ourselves, but we also have to take responsibilities of those kids. There are responsibilities, and for me to see that, it was unbelievable, actually. So, needless to say, after that, I had gone out of town, but a council meeting was going on to discuss the first party, and I was out of town, made it back just in time to get up and talk to council that day. And after that, I think they kind of realized, even the mayor was there, kind of realized, wait a minute, there's some passion here with these folks in this Pla-Mor. And they all decided to come up to the skating rink to see what it's about, because when you think about skating, you think about just the kids. No, we call it the adult playground. It's for older folks too. People as old as 81 are coming here. But nonetheless, they all came out and saw that that's what we like to do and was like, this is great. So you're thinking that we're on a path of going in the right direction, developing some type of relationship with the city. But unfortunately, it didn't happen that way.
Now, I understand that security at the Pla-Mor skating rink was increased. When did that happen?
Oh, yeah. So security increased. I think it went from 2 security officers to like 4 to 5 security officers when we have events, along with 2 Cleveland police officers that actually come in. So we try to make sure that there's enough security for whatever type of event that's going on, be it with the kids on Saturday or be an event that we may have a special event on Fridays. So we try to make sure that security is there and that they're present. We have them at the front door, we have them inside the building walking around, outside the parking lot. So yes, security has increased.
Now, why did you feel it was necessary to increase security?
We were trying to go along with what the city wanted to happen. Okay, you need some more security, let's get more security. At some point, we even have the Euclid police officers work at some point, and then all of a sudden, that went south. They won't come work up at the Pla-Mor at all, to my knowledge. I mean, I haven't seen them there working. They have sat across the street in their vehicles, one truck parked this way, another truck parked the other way, just sitting there. Don't know what that's all about. But I mean, I've seen that happen on several occasions as well. Even sometimes they're out there on Saturdays just sitting there across the street watching. I don't know if it's to find out what's going on, what we're doing, versus having a car parked right on the premises that would deter some of the things that are going on.
Now, did there come a time when Meigs Pla-Mor implemented a no kids allowed without a responsible adult policy?
Yes.
When did that happen?
It happened after one of the meetings that he had with the city. I guess it was maybe after the memorandum of understanding, to my knowledge, that it was stated that the kids had to be accompanied by an adult and signed in. And that policy was put in place for the kids to come in and have their parents sign in for them.
Okay. I'll hand you a document that other people have referred to and ask you if you've seen this before.
Has that been marked?
No, it has not been marked.
You're planning to mark it?
I'm going to mark it when Mr. Sanders takes his stand. That was my intent. We can mark it now if the court would prefer.
It might help your case.
Okay.
At least your record.
Well,
What do you want?
A and B.
Your Honor, just a suggestion.
Hold on.
You want 1 and 2?
Yes, thank you.
I'm sorry, what?
You were alphabetical.
I'm letters, so if you wouldn't
1
mind
and 2.
doing numbers, thank you.
Sorry, I have one of those.
This one's fine. One and 2. I'll hand you what has been marked as Defendant's Exhibit 1 and 2. Can you look at those documents and tell me whether or not you've ever seen them before?
Yes.
What are they?
There are applications for the parents to fill out when they come in.
Let's take one. What is number 1?
Number 1 is basically telling them that there's a membership application that they need to fill out. And number 2 is the actual membership application in itself.
And is that utilized at Meigs Pla-Mor?
Yes.
Why?
Because we want to make sure that these kids are coming in with adults. We want to try to eliminate any type of unnecessary activities at the skating rink. So in order to do that, it's like, okay, final thing. We have to make sure not only does a parent come in and do the membership, but if they come in under 18, they have to stay with their child during the entire duration of the skate.
Has that excuse me, were you finished?
Yes.
Has that policy been implemented?
Yes.
Okay. When did you start to implement that policy?
This was about 2 weeks ago,
Okay.
of the last 2 skating sessions, yes, in place, yes.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Okay, Ms. Sweeney, you may cross.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Curtis, the mentoring program that you mentioned, when was that established?
We talked about doing the mentoring program about 2 weeks ago as well. But understand that I've been in there mentoring those kids, talking to them, even before initiating a specific program.
You mentioned the MOU with the city, so you are aware are you aware that that document exists?
I heard yes.
Okay. Have you ever seen it before?
No, I have not gone through the memorandum of understanding.
So are you familiar with any of the terms and conditions?
I know what the memorandum of understanding is.
I'm sorry, you have to not talk over each other. Yes.
This is terrible for the court reporter.
I understand that, Judge. Thank you. I will do better. Ms. Curtis will as well, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
So, Ms. Curtis, even though you have not seen the memorandum of understanding, are you aware of any of the conditions in the memorandum of understanding?
Not all of the conditions, no.
Okay. Is there an exhibit book still up there? Is there a binder?
Yes.
Okay. Can you please turn in that binder to Exhibit D?
Okay.
Are you there?
Yep.
Okay. Do you have any reason to dispute that this is a memorandum of understanding executed between the City of Euclid, the Chief of Police, and Mr. Sanders? And if you want to look on page 2, there's some signatures. Do you have any reason to dispute this is the memorandum of understanding that we've been talking about?
No.
Okay. If you could go down toward the bottom of the page, there's some numbers there. The first one is that Sanders shall apply for a special event permit no later than 14 days before the date of his intended special event. Are you aware do you have any knowledge if Mr. Sanders has complied with that first item?
Again, no, I'm not even familiar with that, so I can't answer that for you.
Okay. You mentioned only 2 weeks ago, you started this membership application process with the parents. That was 2 weeks ago? Is that right?
Yes, with the parents that they must stay with their children. Okay. That specific one, with the forms that he just showed me, was the one that was implemented 2 weeks ago. But there was a program previous to that.
What was that program?
That program was basically that they had to sign in. And I think that was something that you guys, the city, had required him to do, and that was actually being done. But this one is specifically stating that the parents must stay with their child during the entire duration of the skating session.
Okay. So back from November 19th of 2019 to present, or up until 2 weeks ago, Mr. Sanders was complying with item 9. Youths were dropped off by parents and they were signed in?
Yes, the parents were signing in for their children, yes.
Okay. And number 11, there shall be at least one parent or guardian for every 4 youths. Was that complied with?
I don't know if that, I can't specifically say. Now you're asking me to know how many kids were there, that sort of thing. I can't answer that properly.
Are you a trained police officer?
No.
No. Are you aware when tactical measures are appropriate or inappropriate in a particular situation?
So we don't, I'll put it this way, I leave that up to the security.
Ma'am, yes or no, please. Are you aware when tactical measures are appropriate or inappropriate?
No.
Do you know why any members of the Euclid Police Department do not want to work events at Pla-Mor?
Objection.
That was insinuated by your witness. I'll allow it.
I'm sorry, Judge, I didn't hear you.
That was insinuated by the defendant's witness, Councilman Epps.
So am I allowed to answer the question?
You can.
Can you repeat that question,
Yes.
please?
Do you know why any members of the Euclid Police Department do not want to work events at Pla-Mor?
I've heard of some rumors that were going around.
Do you have independent knowledge, or do you know?
From what I've heard, yes.
What have you heard?
So I've heard that MIG does not pay the police officers to work there, which is not true. And that was actually stated, if I'm not mistaken, by someone on council who actually stated that again, which was not true. And so that was one of the main reasons that I heard that he's not. And then also, it's probably been told not to work up at MIG's Pla-Mor.
Who's told them not to work? Do you know who has that?
Okay, hold on a second. Councilman Epps, this is a courtroom. Can you refrain from pointing, shaking your head, demonstrating your emotions, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
it was stated that they were told not to work at Migs Pla-Mor because supposedly they're not getting paid and that they don't have the officers to do so, which I find very strange. Because both, I
have nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Anything else?
I have nothing further.
Okay, you may step down. Thank you.
I will call Mr. Sanders.
Okay, Mr. Sanders, come on up. Swear the following that you will testify to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir.
You can have a seat to my left here.
Mr. Sanders, you are one of the named respondents in this litigation, are you not?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you operate the business known as Migs Pla-Mor. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And how long have you operated Migs Pla-Mor?
Approximately 3 years now, sir.
Since about 2018?
Yes, sir.
And did you acquire it from Mr. Hatchett and his group?
Well, from Mr. Doug Morgan.
Mr. Doug Morgan. Okay. And describe, if you would, what type of enterprise Migs Pla-Mor actually is.
It is a family skating rink. You know, I've been working with children for over 30 years of my life in a professional capacity. And so it was my initial and main intentions to open up a family skating rink that catered to young children.
Okay. Did you become aware of problems with these children acting unruly, either in the premises or outside of the premises?
I did become aware of...
How did you become aware of that fact?
Well, physically seeing incidents occur. I saw some of the fights occur, mostly outside of the rink.
And did you take any action to address these kinds of problems?
Yes, I did. You know, I've met with the city on numerous occasions, as well as spoken to police officers. When I first opened up the rink, shortly thereafter, I initiated conversation with a Euclid police officer, Officer George, at the time, and asked him, you know, could he come and work security for the rink and or provide some, you know, police officers from the rink. You know, I've always attempted, my father is a retired Cleveland police officer, and he has, you know, always suggested that I attempt to work with the city.
That's not necessary. But when you initially took over, how many police officers did you have working security?
I always had a minimum of 2 security officers based on the session. I mean, we would go as high as maybe like 10, 12 officers.
Well, I said initially you had 2.
Yes, sir.
Did there come a time in which you increased the number of security officers or police or law enforcement officials at Migs Security?
I always increased security at the teen, special teen events that we had.
Why is that?
For one, the number of teens that we were serving and attempting to ensure that we didn't have problems.
There's been some conversation about a memorandum of understanding. Did you engage the city and negotiate a memorandum of understanding?
Yes, I did.
And why was that necessary?
Well, I attempted to work with the city and still continue to attempt to work with the city. And so we sat down at the table, myself and some of the city officials, and we talked about things that could be done to ensure that teens were not fighting. You know, some of that was met by resistance from Ms. Sweeney, the law director, who, you know, has been very
I mean, condescending in all of our conversations. You know, to the point that at one point she told me that it was personal for her and she didn't like the business. You know, which I said at the time at the table, you know, that's unfair. And here I am, I'm trying to work to cure a problem because I don't want to see the fights. And again, I do apologize for any fights that have occurred. I don't want to see that happen. I don't want the teens to act out in the community, nor at the Rink. And so I've added lighting, I've added security. I've identified teens outside of the Rink who I have seen perpetrate crime. I've told the police, I've emailed the mayor, chief of police, the Councilwoman McIntosh, to let them know I need help. There's crime happening. I've identified people and asked for help. In response, the mayor noted I should try and get some volunteer ambassadors, at which time I even got a group of volunteers to assist, serving, you know, throughout the Rink as mentors, as almost auxiliary police. I had weekly update meetings that I suggested with Mr. Cartwright, Captain Cartwright, that I emailed him. I told him that, you know, we had completely shut down teen events. I haven't had a teen event since February 14th of 2020, which was a teen Valentine's Day event. You know, I believe like from 8 to 11, something like that. And, you know, after what occurred, I was hurt. You know, what the kids did, the fighting outside, was wrong. And there's no way to say it's right. But I have done everything possible and continue to do everything possible. We only allow kids in the Rink on essentially one day a week, and that's Saturday in our family skate. And after the most recent events, I have, you know, stopped that and only allow teens in when they have a parent to sit with them throughout the entire session. It was a hit, you know, on the financial side. It's very difficult to run a skating business on, you know, admission costs of $5 to $9, you know, per session. But nonetheless, you know, we want to be family and community friendly. There are, you know, numerous skaters across the hall right now who sit in support of the skating rink. And, you know, this is their life. I have a 91-year-old man across there along with his 86-year-old wife. They just celebrated a 60th anniversary at the rink and his 90th birthday. And they are people who come to that rink every week, faithfully. And the young man has dementia, but this is what keeps him going. And so to take something away like that, you talk about life and things that are detrimental. You know, I do not condone those kids fighting in no way, shape, or form. I am willing. I have recently, over the last few weeks, reached out to Councilwoman McIntosh, as well as I've talked to Captain Cartwright and requested meetings with the city to, again, sit down and continue to somehow work together to find some type of resolution. They have been, you know, resistant, haven't responded. You know, I talked to Councilwoman McIntosh at length on the telephone requesting, you know, things like trash cans. To set up a meeting with city council and the mayor and help me to do better with these teens, because at the end of the day, that's the problem. And so
Mr. Hardeman, could you
I've addressed
respond with the question?
Yes. There has been some conversation about a memorandum of understanding, and it should be in front of you. I will find my copy in just a minute. Do you see, I believe it was Exhibit D.
D.
Okay, do you see the memorandum of understanding marked Exhibit D?
yes. And I have followed the memorandum of understanding.
Hold on. There's no question before you. Okay, if you look down at the bottom of the memorandum of understanding, it says, you shall apply for a special event permit no later than 14 days before the special event. What special events have you had?
The last special event I had was February the 14th, Valentine's Day for teens.
What year?
2020.
Okay, so that was over a year ago.
Yes, sir.
Did you apply for a special permit prior to that special event?
Yes, sir.
And was it granted?
It was denied after the event, and to date I still haven't been returned the $100 I paid for the special event
You
permit.
applied for an event. Have you had any since February of 2020?
No,
Any
sir.
special events?
No, sir.
Okay, and the second thing is, no more than 2 special events per month. Since this document was executed, you said you haven't had any.
No, I haven't. And in an email, I even noted that to Captain Cartwright, saying that we had discontinued special events. And I sent
Were you
that.
complying with this memorandum of understanding?
Yes, sir.
The third item deals with your posting special event notices of side jobs at the Euclid Police Department. That never occurred, I assume, right?
No, I worked with Captain Cartwright, and I did have a couple of Euclid police officers, Officer Ivory and Officer George, who worked periodically for us. And, they had shared that there was some issues with working at the rink. And in the latest email from Captain Cartwright, when I requested Euclid police officers, he said that they would not work due to violent patrons at Pla-Mor.
Did you, in response to that, get private security or other law enforcement officials to work at Pla-Mor?
Yes, sir. On a regular, I have 2 City of Cleveland police officers who work security, along with other security officers and volunteer ambassadors.
How many, what's a volunteer ambassador?
A volunteer ambassador is something that was suggested to me by Mayor Gale, in which I implemented and added them to assist with security of the rink, outside security at the rink, as well as assisting in building rapport with particularly during the family skate session on Saturday.
There's something in number 7 about limiting the occupancy to 440 people. Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
And do you conduct a head count when people come in?
Yes, I do, sir.
Okay. Have you in fact limited it to 440 people?
That would be a good problem to have, but no, we don't even come close to 440 people.
What's your average?
I would say on average, since we're talking about family skate, probably about 150.
Okay. Have you been maintaining accurate head counts?
Yes, sir.
Is that consistent with the memorandum of understanding?
Yes, sir.
Now, number 10 says youth cannot be released without a parent and or guardian. If you haven't had youth events, how have all these children been disruptive in the neighborhood?
Well, in light of the fact we've had family skate since day one, we opened 3 years ago. For the most part, we haven't had any incidents. I would even venture to say that less than 1% of our family skate sessions end up in incidents. But nonetheless, there have been a few. And I think last month, due to the pandemic and sort of the release of people, you know, allowing them to do more things, we did get more parents as well as teenagers that attended the Rink.
Okay, you've already seen exhibits 1 and 2. Can you identify these documents?
Yes, sir.
And what are exhibits 1 and 2?
Exhibit 1 is something I recently hung up outside of the Rink. I have almost like a billboard in our hallway that says Miggs Pla-Mor Family Skate. All children under 18 must be accompanied with parent for entire skate session. And in light of the last incidents that occurred with, you know, some 9, 10, 11-year-old little girls is what I called them, I found it necessary to only allow kids in under 18 with a parent to stay with them the entire session. Moving to exhibit 2, this is what I created. I've since hired a business coach, Coach Paul, and he is also a resident of the city of Euclid, longtime resident, and we have talked about things that we could do personally inside of the Rink. And so I came up with this application where I am now granting memberships to youth who, you know, one, their parent completes the application, and then we talk to the parent. We get, you know, background information such as telephone, address, ways to contact.
In order for a young person to come to the skating rink, they have to sign that document and get parental approval. Is that correct?
Correct, it is.
Mr. Sanders, I'm going to hand you what has been marked as Defendant's Exhibit 3. Can you identify that?
Yes, sir.
What is it?
It's our rules on no in and out privileges or loitering outside of the building.
Do you have that posted in a conspicuous place in the facility?
Yes, sir. We have it posted on the door.
Okay. And why did you feel it necessary to have that particular sign?
Because we did not want teens going inside and outside of the building, and we didn't want any loitering outside of the building, and so I thought that may help.
Okay, there's been conversation very quickly about improvements you've done. You said lighting, you said cameras, additional police officers. You said there have been coaches brought in to help. There's been mentoring. Is there anything else that you have not touched upon that you've done to make this a safe facility?
You know, I just continue to build relationship with the kids that do come to the Rink. Again, there's 99% of the kids are on task. And I'm trying now to only allow that 99% into the rink with their parents, you know, to keep away from trouble. We've added the additional security cameras. You know, I have video footage of things that have happened. We have additional lighting outside, so it can be.
We've touched on the lighting and video. Anything else that I haven't touched upon?
Additional volunteers, ambassadors, people to serve as ambassadors to the ring.
Okay. Thank you very much. I have nothing further.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Sanders, you said the last special event you had was February 14th of 2020.
Yes.
That's correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have other events at the rink outside of the public or general skate?
We do, ma'am.
What kind of events are those?
Like we have an event scheduled for this coming week, which is Alcohol Anonymous Anniversary Celebration.
What else besides that? Do you rent, I'm sorry, let me take that back. Do you rent out the facility for special events?
I do rent out the facility for special, such as birthday parties, anniversary parties, that sort of thing. We just had a muscular, what is it? The disease.
Muscular dystrophy, maybe?
No, I'm sorry. Multiple sclerosis. We just had a fundraiser for multiple sclerosis.
So, outside of the one that you said you held, other folks have had special events at your facility.
Well, those are what the events consist of, ma'am.
And you're not the promoter, but somebody else is.
Yes, ma'am.
So you may not have had a special event since February 14th or 20, but other people have had special events at your facility.
That is correct.
You heard Captain Cutright, you know what, I'm going to wait on that for a minute. You received a letter from the law department declaring your property a nuisance back in June of 19, is that correct?
That may be correct.
Okay. And you've received letters from June 19th, June 14 of 19, up until most recently March 24th, 2021. Is that fair to say?
When you say letters, what do you mean?
Nuisance letters declaring the property nuisance and invoicing you?
Yes, I have, and also with that, I've attempted to appeal those and haven't received any response. To the best of my knowledge, there was an appeal process for the city of Euclid that included going in front of a committee to discuss those charges. Even at one point, I contacted and asked if we could come in and meet because, you know, of the team fights. To some degree, I take responsibility for them, and I was willing to try and work something out. When you provide me a public nuisance charge for a car being broken into by somebody, God knows who, I just don't think those sort of public nuisance charges are right because they had nothing to do with people that was in our skating rink. I've even identified people breaking into cars, and we've contacted the police department when this has occurred. I even have some of this footage on videotape. I was hoping to get an actual appeal hearing in light of the fact that you guys were not willing to sit down and find some type of resolution.
Mr. Sanders, you did in fact file an appeal of the nuisance in this honorable court. Are you aware of that?
Yes, I did, but I guess based on what I had read from the city of Euclid, it says if you get a public nuisance charge that you may appeal to a committee that would give you a hearing to hear, you know, those charges, and I never received that, ma'am.
Okay. You would dispute that your attorney received a determination of your nuisance appeal? Are you aware your attorney received a determination of your
I will object
nuisance
to
appeal?
that, and I will state on the record, I didn't receive any determination. If she's referring to me.
Yes. Mr. Sanders, you are aware an appeal has been filed in the Court of Common Pleas here, Cuyahoga County?
You know, I'm not an attorney. I have hired an attorney, so I can't state for sure.
Okay. You would agree that the nuisance fines imposed by the city of $10,500, that those are still outstanding?
Yes, I think they're outstanding, awaiting, you know, to be heard, and some type of committee hearing is what I was hoping for, to really look at those charges. Again, I don't mind taking responsibility for, you know, inappropriate acts that have occurred because of, you know, my skaters, as you will. But, I mean, I don't think you should be able to throw everything in the kitchen sink in there.
Mr. Sanders, how often are you at Pla-Mor when it's open to the public?
I spend a lot of time there. I'm pretty much there all the time.
You heard Chief Meyer go through about 5 or 6 reports of incidents that have happened at your property since January 24th.
Yes, ma'am.
We're here for that. And I can go through each one. I'd like to go through each one. Were you at Pla-Mor on January 24th, 2021?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you witness the fight that occurred that day?
You know, I'm not, I know the date that I was there. I witnessed majority of things that occurred other than the...
Did you witness the fight that day, Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
You did. What did you do in response to witnessing that fight?
Probably the usual thing I would do.
Not probably. What did you do in response to witnessing that fight?
I attempted to engage youth in positive behavior by contacting a parent or guardian to pick them up, or, you know, intervening between an altercation with primarily young ladies for whatever reason. I think that's a systemic problem that we have right now that we need to address as a community. Why are these young ladies fighting? And so,
Did you identify these 2 individuals?
yes,
Do
ma'am.
you know who they are?
Absolutely.
Have you told them they're not welcome to come back to the Pla-Mor?
Yes, I have.
Did you put them on a trespass list with the City of Euclid Police Department?
I don't know what a trespass list is, ma'am.
You don't recall city officials discussing your option of a trespass list with you in one of the meetings that they held with you?
I've never heard the term in my life, ma'am.
Saturday, February 27th, 2021, were you at the Pla-Mor that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you witness a fight disturbance that day?
Ma'am, can you be more specific in the fights?
Absolutely. If you could turn to Exhibit F, please.
Okay.
Okay, that's report 21-1113. Are we on the same one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, if you wouldn't mind taking a look at that?
Okay.
If it refreshes your memory. So were you there that day? Were you there that day? I think you said you were, I'm sorry. And did you witness that fight?
I was there on that particular day, earlier in the day, but nonetheless, our building, we were closed during that time, and, you know, I did have a staff member who was irresponsible and allowed some people in to skate, and so that's the reason I wasn't there, because technically we were closed.
But you were open though.
No, we were closed to the public.
But you just stated that one of your employees did let some folks in.
He let some folks in to skate, yes, but technically we were closed. So it was surprising to me that a police officer was, stationed right across the street to even witness this, because we were closed.
Next, Exhibit G. Report 1253, March 6th. Were you there that day?
Yes, ma'am.
So if you wouldn't mind taking a quick peek at that one and letting me know, or my question would be, did you witness the group of 20 teens fighting?
Yes, ma'am.
You did. What did you do in response to that?
Again, I, attempted to engage and help police, disperse the crowd by telling youth to, get in their rides. There were numerous parents awaiting their kids, picking them up at that moment. And with the police, as they generally do, they bring their sirens and they shoot pepper spray and they disperse the crowd. But, the kids kind of really take it as a joke, which is a problem in itself, and they run back and forth.
Did you identify any individuals involved in that riot that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, did you tell any of those individuals they're not welcome back to skate at the Pla-Mor anymore?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And we talked about no trespass list, so that didn't happen.
I've never heard of the no trespass list. That's not a part of a memorandum of understanding. It's my first time ever hearing that term in my life.
Exhibit H, please. That's report 1400 on March 13th. Were you at the Pla-Mor that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, do you get to look through that? Do you remember witnessing this? Were you there to witness this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what did you do? These were 60 juveniles fighting, so it increased from 20 to 60. Is that fair to say?
Objection to the argumentative nature of that question.
Ma'am, I don't know where that number comes from.
It's on the first
But
line of the second paragraph, if you could take a peek.
Yeah, I see the 60 juveniles. I think that's probably some bad grammar by the officer who wrote that, because there on my video camera, it clearly shows there were like maybe 2 or 3 females who were fighting, who were identified as 11 and 12-year-old little girls.
You have video camera evidence of this fight?
Yes, sir.
And would this fight occur inside or outside of your establishment?
Outside, sir.
You have cameras outside? You have camera on the DJ box?
We do have cameras inside as well, sir.
But you have one at the DJ box that would show the woman who was allegedly raped talking to the man who allegedly drugged her.
I don't know anything about that. Today is the first time I've ever heard of that.
Mr. Sanders,
Yes,
the question is, do you have cameras that might show
Yes, sir.
people standing by the DJ booth on the date in question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Also, did you have a lawyer represented you when you entered into the memorandum of understanding with the city of Euclid identified as Exhibit D?
No, sir.
Okay. And in Exhibit D, it talks about sign-in sheets in number 9. If you could turn to Exhibit D.9.
Yes, sir.
You have any of those sign-in sheets for the dates in question, like on March 6th and March 13th?
Yes, we do have those sign-in sheets, sir.
Okay, do you have them with you today?
No, I do not have them with me today. I
Okay.
just have no, sir.
And are skating rinks subject to the governor's COVID orders?
Yes, sir.
And what kind of limits on capacity do those orders put on your business?
Half of our capacity, sir, and to have people spread out. We have also
You could have 220 people?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's all I have. Do you have anything else, Ms. Sweeney?
Yes, thank you, Judge. Exhibit I, please, Mr.
How much more do you have? Our court reporter's very hungry.
Your Honor, I do have a couple pages of questions here.
We're gonna have to.
We can keep going on my account. Don't break for me.
How much more time do you need?
I can try to be quick in maybe 20 minutes.
Okay, 20 minutes.
Thank you. Mr. Sanders, you will recall the city filed suit back in June of 2019 to get the property declared a nuisance, much like why we are here today. You recall that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you will then recall the city had multiple meetings with you to try to resolve the issues?
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
fair to say? And is it fair to say the city officials, Mayor Gale, Councilman McIntosh, Chief Meyer, stated they wanted to work with you to see you be successful?
Yes, ma'am.
And you and the city did come to terms on a settlement agreement?
Yes, ma'am.
The memorandum of understanding, and you signed that?
Yes, ma'am.
You had no reservations with this document?
No, ma'am.
You heard Captain Cutright testify that he was there on March 27th. And he observed approximately 6 adults. He confirmed 6 sign-in sheets. However, there were about 60 kids there. You heard him testify to that?
I did hear him testify, and I wonder why he testified that, because it's a Saturday family skate, and even across the hall we have adults who were present at that skate who come down to support us today. So there was, numerous adults present there at the rink. So, and there were, I would even say, few kids, because the kids that generally come without a parent, we turned them away because of our new rules, and they went to the movie theater on Lakeshore.
So did you dispute Captain Cutright's testimony?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to, this has not been, this was not put in the city's exhibit book, but I'd like to present it and enter it now. The city's Relators Exhibit K. If I may approach, Your Honor. Is it fair to say this is a Facebook thread from the City of Euclid Community Facebook page?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and the very front post says it is from Miguel Sanders on March 30th?
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
correct? Is that you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You are the author of this post?
Yes, ma'am.
So this message on March 30th, if you could take a minute before I talk about it to read it, unless you're already familiar with it because you wrote it.
Yes, ma'am.
You need a minute?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I mean, I'm good.
Good.
I don't remember it verbatim, but I did write that.
Okay, so in this post, you apologize for any problems the Rink has caused. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You admit there are problems there?
Yes, ma'am.
You admit the majority of problems have come as a result of teens fighting, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You state that you want the Euclid police to make an example of one of them and arrest them, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Haven't you spoken with the chief and captain about why they are unable to arrest teens?
I have. Doesn't mean I don't agree with their rationale. My feeling is when I was a youth and did things wrong, I was either arrested, detained, and or a parent called to come and pick me up from the station. When that happened, I didn't do it again. In light of the fact of getting parents involved. You know, throughout all of our meetings and anytime I meet or talk to police, I'm asking, please identify these kids, you know, charge them with something, detain them, have a parent come and pick them up. And it has yet to happen. And I mean, personally, I understand nobody wants to be hurt and all that sort of thing, but the reality is there's 9, 10, 11-year-old girls fighting who weigh less than 80 pounds. I want to believe that police are trained to somehow intervene on a situation like that. Like when it says 60 people fighting, that's like the same as any teen fight. 60 people crowd around, they circle the people who are fighting.
And you are not a trained police officer, is that correct?
I have been trained in intervening on youth escalations. I am a former parole officer. I am a former corrections officer in Ohio Juvenile Youth Facility.
When did you hold that position?
I last worked at Cuyahoga Hills a year ago this time.
Are you aware the justice system for teens might be a little different now as opposed to?
Ms. May,
Okay, thank you.
you're way
Yes.
out of bounds.
Yes. In that Facebook post, you are stating it's the police department's responsibility to call a parent. Is that correct? In this Facebook post?
I've requested that police detain and, you know, take kids to the
Okay,
police station.
just stop both of you. This is your post, Mr. Sanders, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The court can look through it at its own time.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Sanders, are you aware the reputation of Pla-Mor amongst the teens is being the place to go to fight and to air their grievances?
Sustained.
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
I have nothing further.
Okay, Mr. Sanders, you may step down.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Mr. Hardin, I assume that's it for your case in chief?
Yes, it is.
Okay. We'll get you a ruling. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Do you want anything in writing prior to the time you issue a ruling?
We'll wait for that.
Yes, no?
I don't know, Mr. Herman, I don't suppose you have any additional copies of your exhibits, do you?
Well, let's see here.
Did the judge keep them all? Did the judge take yours?
I think they were up on the,
Well, this is our copy.
Bye, Mr. Hartman. Bye, Mr. Sanders.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day, okay?
No lunch, no free lunch today. Oh, God. I was going to try to get her tomorrow.
Okay, thank you for your comment.
Try to, if not, we're going to get the job, so, we can try to get there for the inspection. Yes. Yeah, there's one more at 10 o'clock, so I'm going to try to get there. I wanted like kibosh the inspection under my Dodge one.
So my question is, I think it's going to squeeze you further.
Well, something was already in place. You know, I go back in front of Judge Gallagher on Monday, 12th.
Oh, and you?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is for the first, so hopefully we can pass it. That'd be nice to have something to go in front of Judge Gallagher and say, hey, first, let's
Have the corrections been made or whatever?
I went over there, we went over a couple things, and we go. That being said, tomorrow, this is that, you know, court time.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. No.
We've got a lot to do over the years. Well, it shouldn't have anything to do with that.
Well, we hope on Friday.
Okay, you can keep those. Okay. Mr. Herman?
All right, Chris, thanks for coming.
Can I get an email address so you can send me your decision so I have a copy of your address? So you don't have to make copies now?
This is the only thing I have. I just give you these.
Oh, that's okay. Well, if you have a copy, that's fine. I think you have a copy. This is what you said
That's
it?
1 and 2.
Perfect. Okay.
And then the big thing, you know, the sign. You know, the blue and white sign. Where is that?
It's up here, but I don't think anybody keeps those. We don't really keep them.
Thanks for coming out.
No.
You got all of that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I can take that mic off here. Oh, yeah, you just pull it on out and unclip that thing from your belt, you're good.
Okay. Well, then you take this.
Absolutely shocked by the rate. So you have an unprovable rate you're connecting? And then the facial post, stuff like that seems extremely mutual. So,
I never heard anything related to it, right? I don't know.
I don't know how that could possibly be in the business. It's a crazy precedent to set.
The originals, correct? And then the defense on the originals, the judge will pick up.
It's so
Is he gonna give me those originals when he's done? Do you
So
want the
I'll be in
originals? I can
touch
either
Friday.
I'll take the copy.
And we'll plan to come over.
I'll
Do a, sit down with
then I'll have all the originals. So, you want my copy or you got your own copy? She emailed it. Okay, that'll be great, then I'll have all the originals.
You can give her my
Oh, it's okay.
card.
Yeah, keep that.
Just
Keep
pass that on.
and then
I'd love to hear from her.
you have a copy, you have this copy though. The both copy though.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So yours is the original.
Hard to read if the judge reads.
Yeah, so I have,
It's hard to read, Judge.
copies. I have the original this way. Okay, dimension 3 is, plan should have 8 or K.
Well, no matter what, I'm gonna get down there and skate for it.
Okay.
As soon as I can with the boys.
I appreciate it.
You have a good day.
So I have.
Well, I wish you the best, man. You look great. You always look great. So take care.
You're doing nothing to try to shut those folks down.
I